You made it. Solid Soul here, and today's video I'm going to go over the best carry heroes in For Honor Year 8 Season 2. There have been loads and loads of changes, including the new hero Sohei, and I want to discuss how the meta has shifted when it comes to each specific hero. I'll try to keep this video as concise as possible, but with 35 heroes to go over, you'll still need to grab some popcorn and enjoy. So before we get into the tier list itself, there are a few things that I always want to discuss beforehand. This tier list is for gamers who are trying to pick up a hero that can give you the most amount of value while you're solo queuing and duo queuing. If we talk about force stacking with your buds who aren't the most competent players and still lack the knowledge of high-end competent play, it will still apply. The only people who this doesn't apply to are the 10 comp players who play with their friends and avoid matchmaking like the plague due to its severe imbalance. Now I'm also going over properties that can make a hero top tier. Some of these quirks will be so strong it will overshadow some of their weaknesses. It's also important to note that having 2 or more of each hero can drastically change how you approach a game. Heroes that have external, unblockable, undodgeable pressure, wide hitboxes on their moves, full blocks, hyper armor, crushing counters, dodge cancel recoveries including Sifu stance and hidden stance, 400 MS mostly unreactable lights, dodge attacks, enhanced light attacks, roll catchers, clutch potential such as high damage punishes like Way of the Shark, wall splats, deflects, and ledges, feats, easy ganks, the stalling capabilities, and the anti-ganking. The last and new variable I'm going to add is 2 of each character. How annoying is it and how powerful is it? The more of these tools a character has, the stronger they will inevitably be. Someone that has the answer to every single situation or an answer to most situations will do incredibly well. This tier list is going to be my own opinion on what I've concluded are the best and worst heroes to play as and play against. Your experiences may differ in some capacity, but having close to 5,000 hours and 900 reps and playing pretty much every single hero except for nuxia, I can safely say I know a little bit too much about this game. One last and very important key takeaway is that the scoreboard will not show everything you do for your team. Clearing a mid lane, stalling on an enemy base so that they don't generate points while your teammates are 3v1ing on your home point, keeping 2 or more enemies preoccupied with you but dying in the end, will only end up with a lower KD on the scoreboard. Don't be discouraged by that, as most good players will know what you've sacrificed to allow your team to win, while bad players will point to renown and KD only. Obviously, if you've gone past 7 or 8 deaths, you are definitely feeding, so try to play a little bit slower and more methodically. And with that out of the way, let's get into the tier list. And for your perks, now perks are going to be pretty important for your character and your playstyle, but I'm just going to go over a few of these that are really important, the ones you should be getting. Gale Storm is going to be really helpful. Devour, Early Reaper is also very good because it also works on your feet. Endurance is great at the same time, and Headhunter to get a little bit more HP and tank a few more hits. For defense perks, you always want to run Bastion, Vengeful Barrier, and Last Stand. Those are the best 3 feats in the entire game, or best perks in the entire game. When it comes to bulk up, you can use a build to give yourself more HP to be a little bit more tankier, but I feel like Last Stand has more clutch potential. But if you want to play as a tank, roleplay Abbot Jane June that has Tough as Nail and bulk up, and they do stack. And when it comes to assist perks, this is pretty self-explanatory too. You can use Radiant Rebound if you want to go to the midpoint or help teammates right after you die really quickly. Remedy, Feline Agility, Rising Dawn, and Rapid Refresh. You want to be running Rapid Refresh every single time, mostly so you can get your feats back as fast as possible. This is really insane. So firstly, let's just go over what the tiers mean on this tier list. So the S tier, obviously, it's going to be your carry heroes. These characters, they're not going to be necessarily brain rot, although some of them are. You can pretty much play these heroes on brain dead mode and get tons of value. Have a lot of safe utility, strong defensive and offensive properties on their moves. You're not going to go wrong with any of these picks up here. You're probably going to be at the top of the scoreboard 9 times out of 10. The A tiers are still strong. They're going to have a lot of properties to help them deal with most situations, while the A- tiers are going to have a few weaknesses you can exploit, but they'll still have like a role that they need to play. They won't be able to cover every single objective point and do every single role, while the B tiers are going to be a little bit more weaker than the A- tiers. They're going to feel a lot more balanced, and you're not going to have to fear these characters as much. Whereas the C tiers, these are the crap tiers. This is crap, all right? They're going to need some serious help in the future, I promise you. And for our first faction, we're gonna go off with the Viking faction. So the Viking faction, I'm gonna put Highlander S tier. This is a no-brainer. This character is absolutely insane with the rework that he had gotten. So many tools that he can utilize in pretty much every single situation. I will say that this character requires a little bit of work, but he still has a low skill floor. To reach the highest echelon of the skill bracket for this character, it will require some work and require some good reads and reactions. He has ridiculous external unblockable and dodgeable pressure, wide hitboxes on his light attacks and his heavy finishers. Mind you, they also have 600 MS chain heavy finishers, the fastest heavy finishers in the game. Hyper armor on those, on his neutral and his side heavy finishers. Although I will say the top one, it comes out pretty freaking late because they need to adjust that within his previous rework. He does have hyper armor, he does have crushing counters on his neutral light attacks. He also has dodge cancels within certain moves in offensive stance, and he does have 400 MS neutral offensive stance light attacks. This is ridiculous. He will poke you down because this can be very hard to react to. It's pretty much unreactable from neutral because you can also emo-tech this. It's really strong. It will force you to dodge, force you to parry, and also let's not forget that his kick is also feightable. Feightable kick means that he has ridiculous chain pressure when he's in offensive stance mix-up. When you're in medium hit stun, you have to make a read and make sure you do not get parried by him because he does a crap ton of damage. The next best thing about this character is that his caber toss will pin you. Absolutely redonkulous move for ganks and just for messing up your timings, because there is a pseudo mix-up where you're spamming offensive light and people will try to dodge you, and you can use your caber toss to catch them afterwards to land at 26 damage unblockable heavy to pretty much guarantee a 4 MS light attack. That's a crap ton of damage for this character. The mix-up potential, the chain pressure, the team fighting capabilities with this. Let's just not forget that he also is able to use a dodge attack with an offensive stance. So although he lost his wave dash capabilities, he gained something even better in my opinion, which is the ability to target swap dodge attack with this huge hitbox light attack that can clip opponents, and you can weave through battle just like Shaolin, doing a ton of damage and being very safe in your team fighting capabilities. So this character you cannot underestimate because he has so much high damaging attacks, really elusive. The only thing that he potentially lacks is a good roll catcher, but I feel like he still has a lot of clutch potential with high damages, great pins for his caber toss, lots of good things about this hero. He can definitely no-brain and just light into hyper armor and still get some value, but if you train with this character, learn all of his moves, he's going to be pretty much your worst nightmare. The stall on it, top tier. Anti-gank is also pretty solid in my opinion. Of course, someone rolls away from you, it's going to be very hard, but your chain pressure is so good already that it doesn't necessarily matter. And if there's two of them, man, say your prayers and I'll say mine. It's basically over for you because there's also an infinite gank with caber toss, so good luck to you. GG's. I do not have a rough time while using this character at all because, I mean, his zone is feightable, has huge hitboxes on pretty much all of his moves. There's nothing bad about this hero besides the lack of a neutral pressure because this is a team-based mode, so you can rely on your teammates or utilize more target swapping attacks to get some nice hits in. Feats for Highlander that I would personally run is Rush, faster sprint speed to get into team fights much faster, or clear minion lane since his minion clear is ridiculously good. Really good fast recovery too. This is a great tier 1 to even give more pressure for your chain pressure. Bear Trap is solid, but I would always run Inspire or Winner's Advantage. These two are your go-to for more damage and consistency. Second to Win or Longbow. I would choose a Longbow over Second Win and Fury since Fury did get nerfed last season, where they're reducing the damage pretty much by 20% and damage reduction by 20%. So that's a huge nerf. So either go with Second Wind or Longbow. And Spear Storm also got nerfed too, but it's still going to do a lot of damage. However, I would always run Champion's Aura. You pretty much heal and negate tons of bleed, fire, and all that good stuff. Next up we have is Warlord. I'm going to put Warlord right up in the high A tiers. This character is going to be ridiculously good because he's so simple. What he does well. Alright, that's the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is that he's got pretty freaking good undodgeable zone attack for team fights and clipping people who are trying to roll away from him. Pretty good hitboxes on his side heavies as well. He has a full block that you can utilize in many ways. This full block is pretty cool in my opinion. You can light out of it, you can heavy attack, you can undodgeable heavy attack out of it as well. You can also just cancel or dodge out of it. It's a very cool thing. You can mix people up definitely with this. You also have hyper armor on your neutral heavies and your finisher heavies. Hyper armor will always make a character 10 times better, I promise you. Even if a character doesn't have that much properties to them, like Warlord, I mean, you've got hyper armor to deal with trades and scare people into attacking you. He also has crushing counters on his neutral light attacks, which have a pretty decent hitbox if I say so myself, and also has a dodge attack to punish bashes. A roll catcher is pretty non-existent with this character. You can catch people who roll away from you if you do it really early on as a read with your forward dodge heavy. It does come in with hyper armor, and then of course you get the bash mix up or an undodgeable zone afterwards. Warlord also gets a really cool parry punish too that goes into a bash smash into their faces, and it deals stamina damage while also stunning them to go into like a mix-up. But I mean, otherwise this character is mostly an anchor, and you want to do your best in that situation. He's an okay team fighter where you can just trade with your hyper armor attacks, but being an anchor is where I succeed the most with this, because people who aren't doing the most optimal ganks, you can still do fairly well against them. You have a lot of HP, you have the Bastion perks, really impressive stuff, Last Stand, Bastion, Ventral Barrier. You can last a long time as long as your teammates come help you, and sometimes you can even clutch things out. His stamina damage on his throw, incredibly far throw distance, and it deals stamina when they are close to the wall. It's very powerful. And then of course you can just ledge people for days with your crashing charge, whether you're running or whether you're throwing them. It's one of the best moves in the entire game in my opinion. With access to a headbutt, you do have some neutral pressure to deal some damage, but in team fights I feel like this is not as useful because you don't have that much of a forward movement when you do use this headbutt, so it is a little bit weaker compared to a lot of the other forward bashes that we have gotten lately. When there's two warlords, it is still pretty scary in my opinion, because with the amount of hyper armor, the full blocks that they have, and the ganking potential that they can do where you can just get ledged 24/7, you still have to fear this character in my opinion, especially when there's two of them. Two of them holding full block at you, or one of them just spamming their headbutts on you. You're gonna have to make and play very reactively against these heroes. Feats that I personally would be running would be Deadly or Rush. Now, I would run Speed of Revive if you wanted to help your teammates and get some renown for your orders, but usually I would just run Deadly to get that very satisfying high damage finisher heavy. Bear Trap or Juggernaut. Now Juggernaut did get nerfed, but you can still use this to your advantage. Flesh Wound can be helpful from time to time, but it's like every 3 seconds for 20% less. You might as well just have a little bit of a super armor uninterruptible stance on pretty much everything for Juggernaut, then have a little bit of damage reduction in my opinion. Fury is probably still going to be your go-to. I think this is still going to be helpful. It's 20% and at 20% damage reduction. Not too shabby in my opinion. I mean, you could run Punch Through if you wanted to. It does help get a little bit more chip damage because you can delay your heavies to a huge amount. That's really fun to do with Warlord, and if they try to go for parry, they're going to mess up their timings tremendously, so this can be helpful if you want to run that type of playstyle. Now, I would honestly run Fire Flask pretty much all the time. You could run Auto Revive for a meme, but Fire Flask is definitely going to be your go-to. Varangian Guard, that is going to be the next character, and she is going to be your carry hero. She's a monster. She is the Virgin Guard. She's the Vaginus. She is the bane of our existence. She can pretty much do everything in this game. Pretty much. Like, she's got plot armor. Huge, tremendous, external unblockable pressure. The hitboxes are out of this world, whether it's her light attacks, her chain heavy finishers. These things hit you for miles. If you position yourself ever so correctly by like 1 millimeter, you're donezo. You're gonna get clipped by this. An amazing full block that keeps you pinned for like 1700 ms, and it feels like 10 years. She's gonna keep you pinned, and she has the options to go for so many things on her full block. Her full block has so much versatility. It keeps you pinned. The external heavy attacks that are on target towards you, they will get stopped in their tracks. And so you have options on light attacking, zone attacking, unblockable side heavy, unblockable top heavy, or a bash that wall splats, travels, pushes them very, very far. Displacement is ridiculous. It's a really cool move to use, but she has pretty much everything. Crushing counters on her neutrals and her finisher lights, yes. And of course, she also has crushing counter properties on her dodge attack too, so why not? And this dodge attack is quite amazing as well because the distance of how you reposition is ridiculously far. Really insane, and it's super safe too because she also has the chain lights with the crushing counters, or she can just go into her full block because her full block cancels into recovery on everything. So incredibly strong character, and the forward dodge bash is also one of the better dodge bashes, forward dodge bashes in the game, because it has a very good tracking, and it's a pretty solid opener, you know. It's a very solid opener. Enhanced light attacks, mind you, a good roll catcher for the forward light into a light attack, because that will catch you. The follow-up light attack is going to catch you if the first light doesn't, which is kind of insane. And the clutch potential of this hero is ridiculous, man. You can ledge with it on her full block. You stop everybody from attacking you. This character was created because of the dodge attack meta, or yeah, pretty much the dodge attack meta, where it's just external attacks for days. And now that we're slowly weakening these characters like orochi and berserker, she's gonna reign supreme, and she's gonna be the best character in the game. Amazing stall, easy gank setups with their chain bash after you land a finisher heavy, does a lot of damage, soft faintable of course. Amazing anti-gank, minion clear is top tier. If there's two of them, say your prayers. It's Joe over for you, man. It's Joe over. This character will absolutely wreck you. So she's one of the easiest characters to pick up. I lose to rep 1 ranking guards all the damn time. It's sad to say, but like, so amazing. It literally is pay to win for this hero. It quite frankly is. Now for ranking guard, you basically just want to be running the default feats pretty much 24/7. She has Take Shelter. It heals allies within 5 on an AoE. Mysthia Ward gives you damage reduction after landing superior block attack. Really strong in my opinion. And her light attacks are very hard to parry due to her animations being... it's not telegraphed. Acer Aura, which gives you a 15% damage buff for 5 seconds AoE for everybody. So it's kind of crazy. AoE damage buff for your teammates. And you're going to land this heavy attack a lot, I promise you. Because the heavy attack also pins your enemies, so it has plenty of time for your teammates to land full damage on them, and it's crazy. Reclaim the Land is going to be your go-to, but I've also seen a lot of people use Stalwart Banner to counter Fire Flask and all that good stuff, but Fire Flask got nerfed, and so this will do fairly well. But Reclaim the Land is going to be more DPS. On an open field, you want to use this. On a closed one, where there's not going to be a lot of reasons to use it when you're fighting inside, definitely Stalwart Banner. Jormungandr is the next character, and I think she is going to be an A- tier hero. There's a lot of people that say that she's a bad character, but in my opinion, I really disagree with that. She has a lot of tools in her arsenal that can hold her own. She is an anchor exactly like Warlord, but I think Warlord is a little bit better than her because of the ability to just ledge people for easily and do so much stamina damage, and having a strong offensive pressure with his hyper armor. Whereas Jormungandr doesn't necessarily have all the strong tools that make her above Warlord or climb up to that A tier rank in my opinion. And so when it comes to her external unblockable pressure, she does have a pretty decent hitbox for her chain zone that has hyper armor, and of course her finisher heavies have a decent hitbox too that can also wall splat. So that's her clutch potential. She can wall splat with her finisher heavies. When people aren't reacting to this, which most people are not, they're gonna get hit by this and clipped by it, and you're gonna be able to land a crap ton of damage with your top heavy. 22 damage, ridiculously good in my opinion. And the hyper armor comes in with the chain zone, can be great for trading in team fights. Not necessarily going to be your go-to. You don't want to be trading with this all the time, but you do have some trading potential in your neutral heavies and your top and left heavy. Left heavies do less damage, 20 damage, and the top one does 22, but it still has some potential to go into some trading potential. So now Jormungandr does have dodge attacks, which is really nice, and enhanced light attacks with her neutral attacks. And then of course she has a roll catcher too, which is kind of crazy. The roll catcher is fairly solid and also be soft fainted. This can be a very good opener or to act as an animation on her forward dodge bash, because a lot of people try dodging this on the movement of your character, and you can use this to go for trades or go into soft faintable GB. So that can be very helpful for Jormungandr players. Now, like I said before, the clutch potential is the huge damage you can get on wall splats. When you get a GB, you can either throw a heavy, side heavy, or actually it's all heavies. You can displace your opponent. If there's a wall nearby, you get more damage on your top heavy. This is a lot of damage. This is more damage than average. Of course, if you get a light parry, the damage is going to be slightly lower because it's only 22 damage, but if you manage to get those wall splats and play towards those walls like Centurion, you're going to do very well with her. She's really good in that regard. And if there's no wall nearby, she does get access to the knee into light attack, which is still 22 damage. That's not too bad for a guard break, and goes into her chain pressure. And don't forget about her chain bash, which is a pin. Gonna pin them down, and it's gonna be ridiculous amount of damage, 26 damage. And don't forget that you have the ability to use your 24 damage chain zone instead of the 26 damage nut slam attack. Now the nut slam attack lost its ability to have hyper armor, so now you have hyper armor on your chain zone. Utilize that if you think the opponent is going to try to interrupt you. It's a much safer punish. Of course, you're not going to get that tier 2 synergy, but that is fine. You still have plenty of tools with the gank setups and your anti-gank setups to gain some shields if there's only one person, or it's kind of a clutch potential, getting a bunch of shield while landing the pin. So it's going to be scary, and the people are going to want to try to dodge that, and you're going to have plenty of opportunities to get that off and get some damage off, since it's so scared of that move. Whoever says this character is weak has really no idea what they're talking about. Jormungandr also gets a really cool follow-up bash attack that deals 16 damage and goes into your chain mix-up, so that's a very helpful thing to access like really fast damage. Jormungandr has amazing stalls, pretty easy ganks, and pretty solid anti-ganking in my opinion. I mean, this character, you cannot go wrong with her. She's so strong and requires you to actually be paying attention if you actually want to beat her. When there's two Jormungandrs though, I feel like it's not too scary in my opinion, because a lot of Jormungandrs don't necessarily know how to play the character to an effective level. That's why a lot of them say that the character is weak, but in my opinion, if you're a competent player, you can do really well with her. You don't need to know so many things about the character. You just have to have some decent reads and reactions to do well with her, because she has some good damage and some decent hitboxes with a solid 1v1 and 4v4 game plan in my opinion. So the feats that I'll be running is Jotun Salve. A lot of people don't like using this, but I like to heal for 4 health after landing a bash. You're going to get a bash on tons of your moves, your pin, your neutral bash, your follow-up, parry punish. A lot of people also run TIERLIST, which is 70% less stamina. This is probably going to be your go-to for more chain pressure. However, I like a little bit of healing because it feels like I'm, just getting good value after parrying an attack. Now, Hamara's Favor should be your go-to. I've seen some people use Righteous Deflection, but I feel like the 5 seconds of a shield is much more important than having some damage reduction for like 5 seconds after getting a parry. So that's all up to you though, in my opinion. It'll depend on your playstyle. Zealot's Boat is going to be your go-to. This drains all your stamina, 25 damage, incredibly good, and also wall splats. Twilight of the Gods is a game-changing tier 4. You gotta run this. Now, Valkyrie is going to be the next candidate here for the A tier. She has a lot going for her. Many people don't play her because she requires a little bit of game knowledge and finesse to make her work. But when you do actually know how to play her, she does a tremendous amount of work, okay? Great hitboxes on her heavies and her zone attacks. I mean, it's just great for mid-clearing and team fighting in general. The hitboxes are ridiculous. Of course, she does have that forward dodge to full block or that heavy softening into full block. And this is her strongest kit because it's going to come out incredibly fast. It's a 400 MS neutral bash that guarantees 16 damage. Really strong stuff. If you see someone getting hit stun, they're low HP, you can guarantee that move and go into your sweep mix up. The chain bash can be easily confirmed with a light attack, and you can get some easy damage off that. You get your pin move, and your teammate can land that heavy attack. So really strong stuff. Of course, she also has crushing counters for great team fighting or just have some defensive play. You can always utilize this and target swap away from someone. You'll see in my gameplay that I'm target swapping away from people and crushing counter them. It's a really powerful tool. A lot of people aren't going to be pairing this, especially their other teammate. They're not going to be paying attention to this. It's a very safe defensive move you can use on normal heavy attacks or chain heavy attacks. You can also dodge out of her full block, which is very cool. You want to bait people out. Her forward light has amazing tracking. It's one of the best forward lights in the entire game in my opinion. It's so good, travels forever, and you can go into some serious mix-ups afterwards. Side finisher light attacks that can, and most of the time, have a huge displacement on hitting wall splats. So you can land a heavy attack, but if you're too close, mind you need to pay attention and use a light attack instead, because if you're too close, the heavy attack will not hit because it's just not fast enough, unfortunately. But it's still very powerful. I still get plenty of wall splats with this character because a lot of people are too scared to react to the bash itself, because the bash is 5 MS chain, but you can't guard break it. So that's a very powerful thing about Valkyrie. Great staller, amazing anti-ganker, and a really powerful ganker too if you know her ganks. Minion clear top tier. When there's 2 Valkyries, it can be quite scary, I'm not gonna lie to you. Just the threat of Valkyrie coming out of that 4 MS bash, if you're not like hyper reactive to any movement whatsoever for Valkyrie, you're gonna eat that bash, and you're always trying to watch out. You can't target swap dodge attack that. You have to play incredibly well. The only weakness for this character is like guard break spamming her, but then of course you can throw out a zone, a light attack, or just a raw heavy afterwards, because she does have framing advantage after. So once you buffer that heavy attack, you're gonna eat raw heavies. She's still gonna be a pretty scary character in 1v1s and in 4v4 modes. The best feats to run for her would personally be deadly or bounty hunter. Both of these are insane in my opinion. You could run rush to go maybe help your teammates a little bit more. I mean, these aren't bad feats in general. You could just swap them out whenever you wanted to. I would always run Bloodlust if I were you. Now it's 20% damage boost and 20% damage reduction for 10 seconds. Pretty solid in my opinion. Or you could go with Juggernaut and be a little bit of an anchor and have uninterruptible stance on everything. So that's up to your playstyle. Javelin, always run this. Don't run anything else. I mean, it's 50 damage per projectile. One of the best you're going to have. Scout, Regenerate, or Fire Flask. Always go with Fire Flask, but if you have a team that, you know, can deal a lot of damage quickly, Scout is pretty solid in my opinion. And don't forget, you do have Rapid Refresh to get your Javelin and Fire Flask much faster. Now, Raider is one of the OGs, legendary character, legendary. So with Raider, he definitely has gotten power creep for sure. I will not say that this is a weak character. This character is still fairly strong, in my opinion. Same thing as Warlord and Warmonger. You definitely can't downplay these characters. They are incredibly strong in the right hands and just in casual hands, myself included. He's got great external unblockable pressure, huge hitboxes on even his light attacks and his heavy attacks. Hyper armor on pretty much all of his chain heavy attacks, ridiculously good. He also has the softenable storming tap, which can be a pretty solid mix-up when you're fighting against players that aren't reaction gods. I mean, they're not going to be pairing this 24/7, so that means your chain zone and delaying those heavy attacks, your chain heavy attacks, are going to be your bread and butter. They're going to eat some of these. The softenable GBs is going to be very helpful, and just mixing it up here and there with your not crashing charge, but your stampede charge is going to be so helpful. I mean, stampede charge is still a great pin that travels super duper far away and deal a lot of damage because it pins, so that means you're going to take full damage to the face. You're not getting any damage reduction, so it's going to be very strong in my opinion. You can also ledge with this and get some easy kills with it. I mean, he still could be a cheese character. You know, you don't really have to think too much of him because he's mostly just throwing heavies. It doesn't mean he doesn't have any weaknesses. His stalling capabilities are like, they're not the best. You do have some variable mix-ups that you could do, like you can do a heavy into a softening storming tap and target swap that so that the animation looks a lot more weirder. You'll see me doing this a lot in my games when you watch me stream. And the minion clear is pretty solid. The stalling is like okay. The anti-ganking is okay too, but he doesn't have a roll catcher. That's one of his biggest weaknesses, is that he doesn't have a roll catcher. His offense mainly relies on that storming tap and unblockable mix, but you have to make sure that you're in, you know, your frame advantage. Otherwise, you kind of lose on a lot of things. The hyper armor definitely saved this character. If he doesn't have any hyper armor, he's a bad character. But with all the clutch potential on ledging and the pins he can get with his stampede charge, he's not a terrible character. Not a terrible character at all. It's just that a lot of characters have so much more than him at this moment in time. Feats that I would be running would be either Rush or TIERLIST. I mean, this is just your go-to. Rush is really helpful. You get to sprint to your team fights as fast as possible, and he is a team fighter, so try to use him as much in that regard as possible. Marked for Death is pretty good. It's just you're like your one and go, and then you get out of dodge to help your teammates. It's going to be pretty helpful. Inspire is probably the best one you should probably be using because it gives you more damage for your teammates and yourself. Second one can be helpful, but I always run Battle Cry because this will make the enemy minions flee, and it gives all allies 25% attack boost for 20 seconds. That's pretty freaking good in my opinion. Battle Cry, incredibly underrated. And then, of course, you want to be running Fire Flask 24/7. Next up is going to be our girl, Shaman Mama. Now, Shaman Mama, I'm going to put her in C tier. C tier for crap. This character requires too much game knowledge. You need decent reactions, good reads to do well with her, because against pretty much all of these characters up here, like all the S tiers, A tiers, and minus tiers, you're going to have to know their mix-ups. You're going to have to punish them accordingly because, one, you don't really have good hitboxes. Your hitboxes are terrible. She is mainly a 1v1ist, and 1v1 characters can be really bad in a team fight meta. You're not going to have a lot of defensive capabilities besides your dodge attack, which can be delayed quite a significant amount, but it doesn't have hitboxes, so you're vulnerable to any attack afterwards, because what comes after your heavy attack is just going to be a heavy attack afterwards. So it's going to a heavy unblockable or a heavy attack, and it's too slow. People are just going to light you out of your moves. You're not going to have frame advantage, so it's very hard to actually survive in anti-gank situations, especially if you can't kill the person fast enough. The way you play Shaman is you get into 1v1 situations, try to kill them as fast as possible, and rotate around to backgap and stall for your teammates to help you, and then run away when you need to. That's how you play Shaman. You have to get those 1v1s. If you can't win 1v1s, fast enough, you've lost all value from her, okay? All value. Now, when it comes to just her 1v1 potential or just her moves in general, she does have 4MS soft feint light attacks, her bleed cancels, and that can be very strong for most players. This is going to be your bread and butter, and you have to utilize this accordingly. Most people aren't going to be reacting or parrying it consistently, so it's very strong, and she gets a bunch of freaking pluses to her kit because you have access to Predator Pounce, which can deal a lot of damage and heal yourself, so that's very good. That's her clutch potential. And she also has one of the farthest throw distance in the entire game. I think it might be the farthest because you can throw a bash after when you throw someone, so it's pretty freaking good. You'll land a lot of strong ledges in this game. You'll piss a lot of people off. And of course, if you're fighting someone who is pretty much out of locked and you have a stealth on, which is one of my favorite feats to run, you can pretty much land a running heavy attack, a chain heavy into a bleed, or a running heavy into a finisher heavy into a bleed mix up. So that's very strong. Go into your Predator's Mercy right away. So the strength of this character is playing like a ninja or a mosquito. Without that, you have nothing. Her minion clear is terrible. Her ganks are like really slow. You do have the bleed gank, but it's just not as strong or prevalent compared to like other characters' ganks. And her damage is not even super duper high when it comes to just like a normal base damage. Her heavies deal 22 damage for some reason instead of just the basic 24, and a lot of characters are getting 25 damage heavies, and she doesn't have that high damage output unless you are bleeding. And even so, even though she gets a lot of damage on her deflect, which is really nice, like her deflect actually does quite a bit of damage in comparison to most characters, and I believe her deflect does 27 damage. Now at base it's 11 damage at raw, and then bleed damage is 16, so that is a lot of damage. And you have also dodge cancel recoveries. You also have very good dodge cancels after landing that deflect, so you can pretty much essentially theoretically deflect triple chain heavies from Raider and some other characters too. However, your timing needs to be pretty good, in my opinion, and they're gonna have to let all those heavies fly. Now, I'm not saying Shaman is the worst character in the game, but she definitely needs some adjustments. Realistically, I would put her up here on the B tiers, but in the C tiers, I feel like she doesn't have any agency unless you're an extremely high-end player that can pretty much react and have amazing tier reads, in my opinion. Feats that I would run with Shaman is you can definitely run Rush. It is pretty addicting because she's one of the fastest characters we have, and with a 30% boost to your speed, that can be pretty addicting. But I like to run Stealth to hide, and so I can land those pounce attacks off people who aren't locked onto me. And then you could run Bear Trap to land some nasty damage because you can land those double heavies on an opponent, but you have to be stationary and hope to God that someone walks onto it. But in case you do some anti-ganking or some 1v1s, Flesh Wound is much better. I mean, it's not like the best defensive perk you have, but it's much better, defensive feat you have, but it's much better than nothing, in my opinion. I would run Second Wind. This is my go-to. Now, this is going to be helpful for anti-ganking, winning some 1v1s, getting a little bit more of an advantage. Fury can be helpful too to raise more damage, and Hand Axe can initiate some bleed offense, but I prefer some survivability because I'm going to be running around the map and trying to snipe people with my pounces. Now, Fire Flask is going to be your go-to, but I can also run Nail Bomb too. These are pretty much interchangeable, both great feats in my opinion, and Scout is not too bad either. And here we have Berserker. Berserker recently got a bunch of changes, and he did get nerfed on the aspect of not having an enhanced light attack anymore, enhanced dodge light anymore, mind you. So this is going to weaken him pretty severely in my opinion, but it's not going to make him useless. This character, in my opinion, is still going to be a solid A tier character. I do incredibly well with him in matchmaking games. Still, to this day, it doesn't matter if I'm dodging into someone or dodging away from them. The strongest part about dodge cancel recoveries, and it's one of the best and safest tools to use when it comes to assassin character or hybrid characters, it's because you can avoid mix-ups in general. This is very strong. His hitboxes aren't like super duper amazing for team fights when you're card swapping with your chain heavies and whatnot, except for his maybe heavy finisher, which is side one, has some solid hitbox in my opinion, but it's not that something you can rely on consistently, you know? His strength is going to rely all on hyper armor. A character that has hyper armor on every single move, it's not going to be bad. He's not going to be a bad hero. He's still going to be really good. You have to watch out for his trades, watch out for the hyper armor. You still have to respect his hyper armor. So that means you have to parry him or react to the unblockable mix that's going to come your way. I mean, this character still has a very safe tool in team fights, in 1v1s. There's no way that you're going to call this character weak. He's still going to be scary up against a good player that knows how to utilize his hyper armor and his team fighting capabilities. He also has amazing roll catches, probably one of the best roll catches in the entire game, the forward light and the forward heavy. I think the forward heavy is the best roll catcher in the game, in my opinion. And then clutch potential is just his hyper armor and huge damage on his finisher heavies. I mean, chain form has light attacks, hyper armor, unblockable side, and top heavy mix. What more do you need, honestly? This character really only has 3 strong properties, which is going to be his hyper armor, his dodge cancels, and then, of course, his chain form as light attacks. And that's all you need to be a strong character. He's good at anti-ganking. Well, he's not good at ganks. His ganks are pretty mediocre, but he's great in team fights. He's great at stalling, anti-ganking, great minion clear as well. When there's 2 berserkers, it can definitely be scary, but I think this is one of his weaker aspects. 2 berserkers, not that scary. A lot of hyper armor, sure, but their ganks are pretty much non-existent, so you can just external one of them, and you should be fine for the most part. Beats that I would run with Berserker is Bounty Hunter, and Doom Banner is going to be your go-to. Don't run anything else. Doom Banner is just too good for team fighting meta. Throwing Axe, because this deals 25 damage, and it has a 60-second cooldown. Ridiculously good for tier 3, and it's 300 MS. It's unreactable. Unreactable 25 damage, comes back within 60 seconds every single fight. I use this in the beginning of a fight, and it deals 25 damage. That's literally a heavy attack. That takes away an extra heavy attack to kill someone who's 100 HP, and is ridiculously good. Very, very good. And then Fire Flask or Fear itself is going to be your best bet. So let's just get on to the Samurai faction. So Sohei, right away, he's going to go in B tier. This character is quite a predicament in my opinion. He has quite a few glaring issues. Now I will say he can be a tricky character to use because you actually need to be using your brain to land those souls. And if you like technical characters, in that regard, you will enjoy him to a tremendous degree because the satisfaction of landing your 95 damage punish when you guarantee and get all those souls can be really good and strong in that regard. But let's just go over his move list in general. So the external unblockable pressure, non-existent. Decent hitbox on his zone and his chain zone attack. He has no hyper armor except for his chain zone. His neutral heavy attacks are, I believe, they are 900 MS, incredibly slow, with having a heavy attack that has no properties. Usually heavy attacks that are slower, like shugokis, those heavies are very slow because they have hyper armor. And with Sohei, he doesn't have any special traits to his heavy attacks. They don't even have like amazing tier hitboxes either. They're just basic heavy attacks, which is weird that they would make a slow heavy like that and then not have like good hitboxes. That's why his zone is there. But you don't have really the conventional, 50-50 mix or conventional light into heavy mix. And you have to rely on choosing attacks to use carefully, like light into light, heavy into heavy. You can't do light into heavy, you can't do heavy into light, you can only do heavy into zone to transition into a different attack. You do have a roll catcher with forward light, it is enhanced, your light attacks are enhanced, but they're fairly predictable because even though you have 4MS chain lights, which can be unreactable to most players, you will, once you get hit by 2 of those lights, you know for sure that a light attack is going to come from the other side, and even though you get hit from the other side with the light attacks, it's still ridiculously low damage. So low damage output from neutral, high damage if you get all your souls, and that's where the problem lies, that if he doesn't get any souls in 4v4, which most of the time he doesn't, if you're getting souls in 4v4, it's because you're fighting players who are trying to parry and aren't necessarily really good at the game. If you do manage to find someone who is full of souls, like 6 souls, and you come across them, it feels very unfun to get hit by that because it's not like you fed the souls to him, it's just like your teammate that was brain rot fed it, and that you get punished for it. So in that aspect, it's not that fun to fight against a Sohei when he has all of his stacks. It can be very egregious, but it's fun for the Sohei to try to get all of his stacks because he has to work for it to an extent, but only bad players are going to be trying to parry him because you don't even parry him, you just option select everything he does, and his entire kit is rendered useless. Decent minion clear. When there's 2 of them, you have already lost the game, but he doesn't really fill any of those roles. He's more of like just a duelist per se. Not that good of a character. He needs some adjustments. For his feats, you definitely want to be running just his basic stuff. His defaults, Eye of the Demon, lowers defense by 25%. Soul Soothers consume 6 souls to heal yourself to full. Really good if you have all your 6 stacks. And of course, ancillary might is going to give 25 damage once you have 6 souls. So really good stuff. And then of course, Soul Waker is going to have just activate all your souls at once, so you can get so you can pop your tier 2 or get your 145 damage punish if you have the tier 1 activated, and of course your tier 3 is there. So I mean, he's like a glass cannon per se. You don't have any anti-gank capabilities, you don't necessarily have any team fighting at all. Now up next is going to be Orochi. Now Orochi did get nerfed on his side dodges where they're not enhanced anymore. Now Zephyr Strike is not going to be enhanced, so that's basically the berserker treatment. But does this make him weaker? Yes, it does. But how much? But how much? At what cost? No, he's still very strong. He's going to be your carry character still. Really strong 50-50 mix still. Incredible hitboxes on his heavy finishers. Great hitboxes in general on his zone and even his light attacks. And then of course his undodgeable mix on Storm Rush and his forward kick mix up. It's just really good. He has frame advantage on the kick after light, and so you can't light check him like Tiandi. And the dodge attack will still help him get away from many mix-ups in general. Just hard swap away from someone. Dodge attack, going to chain heavy finisher to clip someone because the heavy attack is still incredibly fast. It does less damage, 28 damage down, but it's still ridiculously good in my opinion. Amazing roll catcher with Storm Rush and forward dodge light. One of the best team fighters, easily. Great stall. Anti-ganking is top tier as well. Minion clear, top tier. Rotation speed. When there's 2 Orochis, I think I'm just going to go Mauled and Cry in a corner because, I mean, just the Storm Rush gank and the unblockable mix in general, it's just all he needs. You can just kick for days and you don't even run out of stamina with the Orochi. He just has so much pressure. For feats, just use Bounty Hunter, Kunai for days. I mean, Kunai is just top tier, longbow, slip through if you wanted to, and then Fear itself for nail bomb. I mean, he's pretty self-explanatory. You've seen the Orochis, they're dominating. Hitokiri is obviously, it's gonna be an S tier pick. You can do, it's the biggest brainwashed character we have in the game, next to Varangian Guard. And this character, at least with Varangian Guard, you're throwing a couple moves out. With Hitokiri, you throw one move out and it's profit. You just throw heavies because she has hyper armor on literally all of her moves. On her heavy attacks, has amazing hitboxes. You're not gonna be able to dodge away from her. Even if you target swap dodge away from her, you're gonna get clipped by her heavy attacks. That's how much tracking they have. They're basically undodgeable. They have hyper armor, and that's all you really need with the character, right? Like I said, Berserker, all he has is hyper armor. Hitokiri, all you have is hyper armor too, so you can just no-brain it. When I play this character, I am not thinking at all, and I do incredibly well with her. Her charged heavies also have hyper armor and deal a lot of damage, although they did get nerfed 34 to 30 damage, so it's a pretty big nerf, but it still deals a lot of damage, and you cannot play this character. You cannot play against this character if you're not reacting. You have to be reacting and trying to parry those heavy attacks. If you don't parry her heavy attacks, you enter a chain 50-50 mix. You eat chip damage on her variable timed heavies, which are incredibly strong for most players who aren't trying to parry this. It's just a very strong character, easy to use, and has a lot of value. Great stall, great anti-ganking, great ganks. There's nothing you can do about this character besides parrying her, and if you try to light check her, you're going to eat that heavy attack. It's going to be very nasty damage. For her feats, I would definitely be running either Fast Recovery or Deliverance. Deliverance is probably better because you get guarantee execution unless someone bashes you or guard breaks you. I would always be running Righteous Deflection because you are basically a tank. It's pretty insane. If you're good with her on reactions and reads and you parry stuff, you're going to be even more annoying to deal with. You could also run Nuki Kubi. I think this is definitely your go-to because you have infinite stamina, so you can just throw heavies for days, your chain kick mix up for days as well, and it's super duper annoying. And for the last one, I think Fear itself is pretty good, but Zenban Zakura is going to be the best one because it's super easy to confirm. All you do is GB, and then it's Joe over for that one guy. I mean, it's super slow, but it's just a one-shot kill, no matter what. One-shot kill. Shinobi is going to be an easy S tier. This is going to be your carry hero. I will say that if you don't understand how the character works necessarily, I don't think his skill floor is that low. Once you get to like a certain minimal level, then it becomes incredibly strong. Once you know how to gank, you kick into a forward somersault. GG's, dude. G frickin' G's. And of course, his chain mix-up is still incredibly strong into the Sickle Rain or his chain bash. I mean, he's just got a lot of good stuff. Great hitboxes on his zone attacks, white hitboxes, dodge cancels or flip cancel is what I should say. And then he also has the ability to double dodge which can evade certain mix-ups with the chain bash into an undodgeable mix. You can select those, and he also has really good stalling capabilities. Do his double dodge, can just get away from so many things, target swap away from someone and dodge away. You're safe from like so many mix-ups, and most importantly, you're safe from all responsibility and women, and you're safe to stall. You can do a lot of mix-ups from the double dodge itself. You can go into a kick, or you can do a light or a zone to mix up your opponents. I mean, he's got a lot of good stuff, and I feel like his light attacks are fairly hard to parry too because they're not really telegraphed. Great roll catcher on his forward dodge heavy that is also feignable and has pretty good damage in general when it comes to just the neutral pressure. Of course, his finisher heavies, they don't deal as much damage as like most of the other characters, but the difference between him and like an orochi that deals 30 damage for his heavy finishers, whereas shinobi's is not going to deal as much, is because he can pin them and go into more gank setups. So this character is all about ganking, all about pretty much everything, installing and anti-ganking, all of it, and minion clearing too. His team fighting, he's got every single role in one kit. That's how strong this character is. They also nerfed Shinobi where you can't do a whiff light and go backwards anymore because this was pretty annoying for Shinobi. Is very strong part of his kit where you can bait people out and just gain some space. The best feats to run on Shinobi are definitely going to be Bounty Hunter and Stealth. You could run Ki, but Ki got nerfed quite a bit. It only drains 80 stamina. It doesn't destroy your stamina anymore, so it's pretty balanced right now in my opinion. Most people don't run this anymore. People are going to try to run the cheesiest stuff they can, and the only thing they have left is pretty much the standard feats. You want to be using shurikens. The shooting stars is broken as hell. 80 damage, potentially 60, 20, 40. I at least get 40 damage every time I use this. Incredibly strong hits. It shoots 4 stars, and it hits the enemies that you're not even locked onto. So it's pretty freaking insane. Nukikubi is probably going to be your best bet in my opinion, because you'll have a ton of stamina to initiate ganks and pretty much be safe from a lot of fights and put on pressure on your enemies as much as possible. Nail Bomb is going to be your best one, but I also like running Yamauba just to be a bit of an annoying mosquito, because you can get health back every single time you hit someone, and it can be pretty helpful in 1v1s, especially in solo queue. Next up is Nobushi. Nobushi is solid A tier pick. So much versatility, while being a not the best duelist. I wouldn't say horrible duelist. She has the strength of like 10 men in team fights. She's insane in team fights, ridiculously good. Honestly, her external pressure is not too shabby because once she hits her zone off, she can go into an undodgeable mix or a kick mix, and if you're not reacting to that, like 100%, you're gonna get hit by one of those things. So you have to actually pay attention to her, but if you are paying attention to her, she's not that much of a threat. But in team fights, her strength relies on peeling, so with great hitboxes, and her clutch potential of dancing around so much with her hidden stance. I mean, she is incredibly hard to touch when you utilize that to the highest potential. Very, very tough to fight against in team fights. Pretty much untouchable. You have to have a very good character that can deal with her with an undodgeable or very good hitboxes. Way of the Shark also nets her way more damage than she needs, and it's probably one of the strongest aspects of her kit at this moment in time. Her light attacks are pretty reactable. They're only 5 MS. Since the bleed stacks, you're bled for longer and you have more opportunities to land higher damages, with the hidden stance heavy being an undodgeable already and having a kick mix up and a finisher undodgeable. Even in 1v1s, like, you cannot underestimate her. If you're not paying attention, you're gonna get hit by so much things. One wrong read and you are in for a lot of pain. I think Nobushi can be one of the scariest characters. If it's a bad Nobushi, easy to handle, but if it's a good Nobushi, or just like a mediocre one that knows like at least some of the gist of like not feeding revenge and team fight, then you are screwed. Her chain kick can also wall splat, which can net you a lot of damage, and the best thing to do is to obviously delay those chain bashes and heavies as much as possible to make sure that it becomes a little bit more unreactable. Okay, the minion clear is fantastic. Her stall is okay, but at the end of the day, her ganks are good, but her anti-gank and her stall, it's just not that great. I would not pick this character if you do not have a solid team comp. Realistically, what I would do is I would put Nobushi at A- tier, specifically if you do not have like decent hero picks. Like if you have like all these top tiers up here at A to S tier, I would say Nobushi's gonna be a good character. But if you have like lower tier characters like down here A- to B to C, she's not gonna be a good character because you're not gonna have good support in general. But if you have some high tier picks and good people playing with you, she's gonna be a high A tier in my opinion. So use that information as you will. Now for her feats, I would definitely be running body count. You're gonna be in mid lane most of the time. Arrow strike is just freaking one of the best tier 2s in the entire game. 45 damage. Second wind or longbow. Longbow is probably going to be your best bet because with rapid refresh, you're going to get this back pretty quickly. And then of course fire trap for the mid lane or just dealing a lot of damage, or stalwart banner. It's up to you. Kensei, all reliable. He's going to go right there in the A- tiers. He hasn't really changed too much. He hasn't gotten any crazy buffs or nerfs in this moment in time. So, I mean, he's got a pretty honest kit. Huge hitboxes on his heavy attacks. They're soft feightable until light or heavy attack, but the soft feint's only 500 MS for his light attacks, so they're pretty much easy parries or just easy blocks, which is going to be the weakest part. If they were enhanced, that would be a different story, but no full blocks and hyper armor on his finisher heavies and finisher lights, which can be helpful for nice trades. He has a pretty solid dodge attack that goes into his mix. His unblockable heavy does 34 damage. Great wall splats, which is going to be his clutch potential. If you get near a wall with Kensei, it can be very scary because he'll deal a lot of damage to you, and it will definitely even out the fight if he has lower HP, because 34 damage is a lot. It's one of the highest damaging finisher heavies in the entire game. His stalling is pretty okay. His team fighting is solid. I mean, he's got great peel, great range, and a zone attack that hits all around him. Just be careful because a lot of the full block characters are going to full block you, so that's why having a big zone attack can be a bad thing these days, since we have strong characters like Ferengi and Guard existing. This just makes your life a living nightmare. And the minion clear, top tier. When there's two Kenseis, it's not a threat at all. Doesn't really feel that scary, and that's why he's in the A- tiers. He kind of realistic is like a B tier, but I feel like he has a lot of utility with his long range attacks to be a good team fighter, so he's a little bit up there in my opinion. Feats to run for Kensei is I would run body count or fast recovery, but you should be in the mid lane a lot of the times. However, having a little bit more chain offense in team fights can be pretty helpful, so fast recovery could be your go-to. You don't even get that much HP from body count, so it doesn't even matter. I would run Chilling Stare or Inspire, totally up to you. More damage or for your teammates, or just decreasing damage, AoE for an enemy, up to you. I would run Longbow, and then of course I also run Stalwart Banner. You can run Unblockable or Arrow Storm, but that's up to you. I feel like the best bet is going to be Stalwart to cancel out Fire Flask or Bleeds. Shugoki is going to be the next big boy here. Now Shugoki, he's going to be an A tier character. Like, he is close, honestly, I feel like he's very close to S tier. I think he's a fairly strong character, very close to S tier and going to be high A tier. I'll adjust all the values afterwards, but let's just go over his kit as much as possible. So great hitbox on his heavy attacks, pretty good hitbox on his light attacks too actually. Hyper armor on neutral and finisher heavies, and his zone attack too with great hitboxes. I mean, he's got hyper armor. What more do I have to say, guys? And of course, his chain bash deals damage. His neutral bash also does damage, and it's safe too because he can go into a heavy attack afterwards. So if you have a dodge attack, you gotta respect the heavy attack that's coming afterwards. If you dodge bash, you should be fine in general. Like, you should be fine. The enhanced lights also are incredibly strong. If you don't parry those 5 MS enhanced light attacks, you enter his mix-up on heavy attacks or his chain bash. The clutch potential of this character via light parry or a wall splat, you can use your hug, get a ton of HP back, and deal some damage, and go into your chain pressure right afterwards when you land them. He also has some pretty nasty ganks with that. Amazing staller, pretty solid team fighter in my opinion. Just be careful not to take too many nasty trades, but of course, you're going to deal a lot of damage because your unblockable heavies still do a lot of damage and have great hitboxes. Minion clear, not too shabby, and I think 2 Shugokis is absolutely cancer. One of the strongest duos in my opinion. If there are 3 of them, it's good luck to you because you're going to get hug spam. You're going to eat so much heavies. Variable time heavies are very scary. Feast to run would definitely be Speedy Revive. Iron Lungs is also pretty good with this character too. You can also run Thor Farther. Honestly, any of these are fine. Juggernaut is going to be your go-to. You want to run either Punch Through or Longbow, but Longbow is pretty freaking good in my opinion. A lot of people aren't going to be pairing your heavy attacks, your variable time heavies, so these damage values will add up and be pretty helpful in my opinion. And then of course Staggering Blow is going to be your go-to, or Arrow Storm. Aramusha, I feel like he is going to be an A- tier character. Now, he's not necessarily a bad hero, but he isn't the best anymore. He's definitely been power crept by tons of characters. Compare his full block to Varangian Guard. I mean, Varangian Guard wins in every single way. Now, his hitboxes are pretty good for his chain heavy attacks. His finisher heavies also have some pretty good hitboxes too. So they're heavy into a soft feint for a mass light attack. But the issue with this character's kit is that when it comes to big team fights, his Ring the Bell, which is his opener, it's not going to necessarily help that much. He does have full block recoveries to pretty much full block every single move afterwards. He has like 3 different choices and options to use his full block. So you can do a top heavy attack that deals 20, and then a 360-degree heavy attack, which can hit pretty much everywhere around him. And he also has really fast recoveries after that, so you can use a full block if you want to. But a lot of characters already have unblockables. A lot of characters have light into heavy unblockable mix already, so you're not gonna be able to land that much attacks. When Raider was prevalent, he could just blockade these things for days, and even Kensei too. Of course, Kensei was one of the meta picks as well, and nobushi, but now he can't do that anymore. Now characters just have unblockable mixes to your face. Pirate can just do that as well. And it's super scary for Aramusha to blockade in the midst of a team fight. You can do it pretty well if you are good at the character, but otherwise he doesn't have much going for him. The Ring of Bell can be pretty good, deals direct damage, but it's slow, easily interruptible. I think his stall is pretty solid. Pretty good stall. His dodge attack is also very good too. The timing and the delayability factor of the move, it can be very good. Anti-ganking is not too shabby in my opinion. He does have a forward roll catcher with hyper armor, goes into his mix-ups, and then his minion clear is top tier. When there's 2 Aramushas, I don't think it's that scary personally. Even when you're defending or when you're anti-ganking or stalling against 2 Aramushas, not that big of a deal. I mean, it's just not that scary unless you are near walls per se, where you dodge attack into a blockade and they kick you into a wall. It'll deal a ton of damage, but otherwise not that scary. Feats that I would run is definitely Deadly, Juggernaut, or you can run Short Temper, but I think Juggernaut is just the best thing to use, even though it got nerfed pretty severely. For the tier 3s, honestly, all these are great. Flaming Arrow, Sharpened Blade, Second Wind. Personally, I'd run a Sharpened Blade over Flaming Arrow, but Second Wind is going to be your anti-gank build since he does have defensive perks. Now, Stalwart Banner or Fear itself is going to be your best feats to use. You don't necessarily need Arrow Storm, but this can be helpful in open areas, but these 2 are your go-to. Kyoshin. Now, he's either going to be an A- or an A tier character, but I think I'm going to put him to the A tier characters because he gets so much value from his full block. Now, if you didn't know, Fujin Cuts is his triple lights. It barely feeds any revenge. It's an insane ganking tool. This character specifically relies on strong ganking. His team buddy capabilities are not like the best. Pretty good hitboxes on his finisher heavies, really good hitboxes. His zone is not amazing. It's basically the same animation as Orochi's, but it doesn't have that ginormous hitbox. He has an amazing full block, one of the best full blocks in the entire game in my opinion. You can just hold it there and it's just menacing. And if you're ganking someone, it's super duper scary to get ganked by a Kyoshin, especially with someone that knows the Kyoshin gank, which deals a ton of freaking damage. And he has crushing counters on his neutral light attacks, and also has crushing counters on his heavy attacks within Kazakhstan's after he lands those cuts, go into heavy attack afterwards. But he's pretty stationary in his full block. That's pretty much the only weakness of this character, is the stationary aspect of his full block. He has a pretty solid dodge attack too that goes into undodgeable light or undodgeable heavy finisher or chain bash. So he's got chain pressure pretty much covered, and neutral pressure too with his forward dodge bash attack. And of course his clutch potential is going to be his huge amount of delayability on his Fujin cuts, the unblockable mix coming from his full block as well. This is so tedious to deal with. It gives your teammate plenty of time to land heavies on your enemy. It's super duper good. His stalling is not too shabby. Honestly, it's very good. His anti-ganking, probably not the best in my opinion, because you don't really have an unblockable mix to get a ton of damage, and you kind of rely on your chain bash to get some damage in. Anti-gank, it's okay, but it's not like the best in my opinion. He's more of like a character that relies specifically on ganking to do very well. So if you have a teammate that can gank well and knows the gank, you're pretty much going to stop most players that try to 1v2 you, which you should never do that. And 2 Kyoshins can be absolute nightmare. You can't even attack them at all. You have to just react to their mix basically. So very scary stuff. For Kyoshin, you basically just want to be running the first default feats. Kagero, this is going to be a ton of bleed damage on your tier 1, on your Fujin cuts. It's super duper good, does a ton of damage. My god, it's ridiculously one of the best tier 1s in the entire game. One of the best tier 1s. And of course for his tier 2, the Hikarimori, you're gonna be able to heal yourself when you land those full blocks. So it's really cool, like a really strong feat. Everything that he has, it pretty much resonates within his entire full block mechanic. Oh, and also you want to run Arrow Strike if you don't care about that healing, because Arrow Strike is one of the best tier 2s in the game as well. So run that if you don't care about the health regen. The health regen can be helpful, but I think the Arrow Strike is much more optimal in my opinion. And so Hikari Tsukage is just going to be activating both these tier feats together, healing and bleed, which is pretty cool. And then Mugen Huyo or Fear itself. Both of these are really powerful. Fear itself can be powerful in general, but Mugen I think is just better because you keep them in place and you get to land free heavies on them. Up next, we do have the knight characters, and I think we're gonna start off with my sad boy Conqueror. Now, Conqueror is gonna be in the B tiers. Absolutely not one of the worst characters. Feels the worst to play, or one of the worst characters to play, but definitely not the best ones. Now, when it comes to Conqueror, his hitboxes for his neutral heavies and his unblockable heavies, they're not horrible. They do have some hitboxes, and they're not too shabby because they're unblockable, but they only deal 22 damage, fairly weak compared to the rest of the characters like Raider, Magi, Rangan. All their heavy attacks deal so much more damage and have a lot bigger hitboxes too, mind you. And this character, he does have a full block cancel recovery, but the thing is, again, some of the top tiers like Orochi and even the other ones where they just zone attack and Nobushi zone attack, you can dodge cancel out of that, and he doesn't have a guarantee follow-up attack, which is kind of crazy. You know, the character definitely has some real issues, and he needs an entire rework in general because his kit is boring and it doesn't really work to negate some of the offense that these characters have. Take a look at Varangian. Her full block works. It hits everyone around them. Now, he does have a forward dodge bash and a side dodge bash, which is pretty good for stalling and option selecting, but he still has that chain 1000 ms light attack from the same side. I do get hit by this sometimes too, because I'm not really expecting it, but it's a horrible move. It's one of the slowest lights. It's actually the slowest light in the entire game, so keep that in mind. Now, the character, he's an okay anchor in my opinion, not too shabby, but the thing is, as soon as someone rolls away from him, his anti-gank potential is all gone. It's all gone. This character had 2 reworks, and he didn't even get a roll catcher in any of them. So the anti-gank is okay, but as soon as they roll away, it's Joe over for you. The minion clear, not too shabby, and when there's 2 conquerors, it's not that scary in my opinion. You know, it's not that scary. He does have a fully charged heavy attack that deals way more damage, but that's only from neutral, and it's really not even that good in the first place. His zone also is a 600 ms attack that has no properties at all besides having, you know, a little bit better of a hitbox than a normal light attack, and that's really all that's going for Conqueror. There's really not much else to say about him. He's kind of just in a really sad state, and nobody really picks him anymore except for the hardcore Conqueror fans, but even those Conqueror fans, most of them have just dropped the character. Now, for his feats, I would probably be running Speedy Revive or Body Count. I mean, that just allows you to heal your teammates or just farm minion lane. That's kind of what you want to do too. And since Juggernaut got nerfed, I personally would run Shield Basher just to increase your damage output, because your Chain Bash is so weak that as long as you get a neutral bash, it's going to deal at least 18 damage for bash, which is pretty freaking good and above average. And I know a lot of things above average. Can't even say that with a straight face. Now, for this tier 3, it's a little bit interesting. You don't want to run Punch Through, but you could run Pokemon Mortars or Heal on Block. I use Heal on Block. Helps me a lot more, but a little bit more damage too, or just clearing minion lane as fast as possible is a good bet. Now, Uninterruptible is your go-to in my opinion. This will help you out and on dealing as much damage as possible, even though you're getting hit, because you have passive hyper armor, so it's really helpful. Otherwise, you just run Catapult and just nuke people. And that's really about it. Conqueror is kind of in a mid-state, and the Chain Bash is pretty solid, I'm not going to lie to you, because it is feintable, but the damage output for it is just so low that you'd rather just take it instead of get feint and guard broken by the Conqueror and eat a 24 damage heavy. He has an okay matchup against the rest of the cast, but it's just that his damage potential is just so lackluster in comparison to everyone else, where you have to make a little bit more reads and play a little bit more defensively. Up next, we have Warden. Now, Warden is a little bit of a tricky hero too, in my opinion. Now, with his recent rework that he has gotten, he's gotten hyper armor on his follow-up, light attacks, zone attack, and he can also initiate a side heavy that hits like it's not 360, I would say, it's probably like a 200-degree attack, you know, half a circle, or a little bit more than a circle, so maybe 3/4 of a circle. It hits around him in that area, so it determines on where your enemies are, but this can be very helpful in team fights, so it does allow him to, you know, guarantee some damage when he does land that really powerful Chain Bash. Now, this is one of the best Vortex in the entire game, and Warden does excel exponentially in 1v1. However, there is a caveat to this, is that his defensive capabilities in team fights, they're not as good as any of these characters up here in my opinion, because the dodge bash leaves you vulnerable in so many situations. You have to position yourself very well with him, otherwise your dodge bash has no iframes like Shugoki's. This guy's got so much iframes. Shinobi has iframes too in his dodge bash. And the rest of these characters have dodge attacks that have iframes. And so Warden, a lot of people will put him really high up in the tier list, but in my opinion, you have to have good reactions, amazing reads, and very good situational awareness and matchup knowledge to do well with him. Otherwise, honestly, I would put him still in B tier because he doesn't have strong defensive capabilities. He only has really decent offense because his neutral heavies and his finisher heavies have pretty decent hitboxes. He has a very strong chain bash with hyper armor follow-ups now, but if you don't know how to utilize that to your full potential and you just fight, normally without a brain, he's a B tier pick. With the brain, he's an A- tier, and with really skilled players on your team, he will be an A tier pick. But I want to put him in an A- because a lot of people who do play Warden don't really know the matchups of these characters. So these characters are so much easier to play Warden, in my opinion, because Warden's shoulder bash can be very baitable, because if you miss the level 1, you eat a heavy attack. If you just make the wrong reads and generally don't have the reactions to feint into a parry, because they're going to often select you or light check you, if you can't parry that or do anything to negate and stop them from attacking you while you're using your best, I mean, you're just going to get cooked a lot with Warden. So Warden is going to be a strong character with Valiant Breakthrough. It's going to be it's probably one of the best roll catchers in the game next to berserkers. And I mean, the heavy hitboxes, the vortex, the crushing counter is pretty much useless, but it can come in handy from time to time. The zone has a pretty solid hitbox too, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward, really standard character, very simple. I mean, just compared to Warden against all these characters here, they all have dodge attacks, they have dodge cancel recoveries, they have hyper armor. You really only have that vortex, so you basically have to outread them. Warden definitely isn't a bad character at all. I'm not downplaying the potential that this character has. I'm just saying that without good defense, you're going to be a liability if you don't have proper defense on your own. So a really good player will take it to the highest level. A really bad player, you're probably just going to get cooked against a bunch of external attacks and hyper armor. For his feats, I would definitely be running body count. Come at me can be helpful if you want to utilize it with lower defense and clearing minion lane, or just boosting a point to get a lot of renown. Inspire is going to be your best bet. Second wind, and then of course Stalwart Banner or Morale Booster. I run 2 of these different builds. Sometimes I want to be supportive and sometimes I want to be aggressive with my Crimson Blood Warden. Black Prior is the next knight character, and last tier list I put him in A tier, but since this is more of like a carry tier list, I'm gonna put him up in S tiers. I feel like Black Prior is one of the characters that can hold their own in solo queue matchmaking. Like, you're gonna be flipping so much stuff, you're gonna be stalling for days for your teammates to come help you. I mean, he's got so much utility when it comes to defensive action and offensive with your crushing counters to help you out, and your bulwark flip, probably one of the best moves on paper. If you have great reactions and amazing reads, you can pretty much flip everything and hold the line or hold a point all day. The unblockable also has a huge horizontal hitbox, and the forward heavy also can be a really good tool to catch people when they try to dodge away from your mix-up. So this character has all he really needs to be a strong pick in solo queue or duo queue matchmaking. He also has a light into bash chain mix-up or a light into undodgeable mix-up, really powerful stuff. And when it comes to his stalling, top tier, anti-ganking is top tier. Ganks are very good too. I mean, this character has it all. He is S tier for a reason, and one of those reasons is because when there's 2 of them on a map, oh my gosh, this character is actually aids incarnate, because, well, one reason, it's going to be Oathbreaker for sure, and of course he can just full block everything, and it's one of the most satisfying things, mind you, but this is going to make him a very hard character to hit. You have to bait him out and guard break him when he does try to use those bulwark flips, because if you don't, then he can just be free and do whatever he wants. Now for his tier 1, I would use Sinister Shield, and his tier 2, Healing Ward. Some people do use Doom Banner, but this is really only for, I feel like this could be utilized more for higher level players who are more in team fights. I feel like Healing Ward is going to be more of a solo play, but if you want to be in team fights a lot and help your teammate and secure the win, this is probably going to be your better feat. But I prefer a little bit more survivability and just just taunting my opponents to try to guard break me, because the unblockable heavy has 100 MS startup. Oathbreaker is always going to be an insane feat. They did nerf it so that you can't pop it preemptively, but that doesn't matter because it just removes all your shield anyways, and you're just not going to have any fun, period. Umbral Shelter is going to be your best tier 4. Don't run anything else. Now, Warmonger is going to be the next character. I'm going to put her right up there, slapping her right there in A tier. Now, she did get a huge buff, just like Warden did a while ago, where she can pretty much go into her bash mix-up much faster. This makes a huge difference. You can go into it much quicker and get damage in faster, or feign it to go for some parries in case they try to light check you or zone check you. So really good stuff. Now, the best part about this kit, in my opinion, about this character is going to be the forward dodge heavy undodgeable mix-up. It's going to catch those orochis and those shinobis. So it's really good stuff. Great hitboxes on her side heavies and her finisher heavies, and of course the finisher ones do have hyper armor, so you can trade with them, but don't do it too often. But I mean, you just got it because they're very satisfying looking heavies. Her lights are also enhanced too, so that can be really helpful for chipping people down, and I think it pairs well with her bash that does bleed damage. And the next strong part about her kit is going to be the heavy parry impale parry punish. That's going to deal 30 damage, and it's going to be pretty freaking insane. So a heavy parry, and there's a wall nearby, it's going to wall splat. You're going to deal a lot of damage just for a heavy parry, so it's really strong. And then one more thing too, her fully charged bash does wall splat, so she has opportunities to not just land that follow-up heavy attack, which only does 22 damage. She has opportunities to land a neutral side heavy, a neutral top heavy, which deals 27 damage, a lot of damage for a fully charged bash, because the bash also deals bleed, mind you. So it's like the strongest, or well, not the strongest, I'd say it's the highest damage potential chain bash in the entire game. And of course, if there's enough distance, you can also do another charge bash into your follow-up heavy. When it comes to her ganks in general, I think her ganks are okay. She can pretty much just confirm with the bash or light attack and all that good stuff. When it comes to anti-gank, I don't know if she's like super duper strong anti-ganks. She doesn't have a reliable unblockable heavy like Wardens. I feel like Warden has a better anti-gank than Warmongers, but at least she's able to stall well with her forward dodge heavy, her side dodge heavy that has a bunch of iframes, and it's unblockable, so that can be very helpful. But be careful, because if you start spamming this, a good player will light check you out of it, because the iframes aren't going to be enough for a character that has a decent sized light hitbox. And so the stall anti-gank, they're not all too shabby. Minion clear is pretty good too. And when there's two warmongers on the other side of the team, oh my god, this can be a nightmare too, because the strongest part about the feats is going to be the corruption. The corruption blast, which the corruption feats in general, are really good for this character. It separates your enemies, forces gangs, and you can pretty much have your way with your opponent. And this is, you cannot underestimate this. You gotta be ready for it. As soon as you see that pop, that tier 1, you have to get ready to parry or block, and it really depends on what the warmonger is going to do. So expect a light attack or a bash startup. Corruption Blade is going to be your best tier 1. Tier 2, you could run Elixir of Corruption, but I feel like sometimes it's better to run Arrow Strike in my opinion, because 45 damage for, just a tier 2 is really insane. Getting a little bit of healed, I mean, it doesn't seem too bad, but it's just not that important to me. I'd rather have a lot of damage as a tier 2, and you can get it back really fast anyways. Power Corruption, you definitely just want to be running this. You could run Punch Through or Tough as Nails, but I feel like Power Corruption is just so much better. And Corruption Blast, you have to run this. This is going to be your best feat. It's a team fight winning feat. Now, Lawbringer is going to be next up in the line here. Now, Lawbringer, he's in quite a tricky situation here. Honestly, I would put him in the B tiers. Now, this character, it's not like he's the worst character here, but he definitely feels like the worst as well, just like Conqueror. And we'll just go over his moveset really quickly. He has pretty good hitboxes on his heavy attacks. Chain heavy has hyper armor. Third heavy has unblockable finishers that can be, the top one can be soft feint, the side ones you'll have to hard feint, but they have a pretty good hitbox and deals a lot of damage. The hyper armor is going to help him out a lot in team fights, even trading against some of the best characters out there. Of course, not the characters that have crushing counters, or full flips in general, or full blocks, so you have to be careful about that, but you can still let those fly and kind of no-brain it to an extent. His light is enhanced, but there's not much you can really do with that because he doesn't have a light chain or a light into heavy unblockable mix like most characters. The only way you get access to that is if you get a parry, and the parry you can do an unblockable zone attack to hit all around you, to go into your chain mix up your second chain hit, so it has to be a light or a heavy, and then go into your unblockable mix, or just go straight into your unblockable if you do the light tap parry post, which is a tap in the face. Used to be a stunning effect, but there's not anymore. And then you can go into your unblockable mix afterwards, and it's pretty good in my opinion. It's not too shabby. It's basically just a normal setup mix up. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any roll catchers, and the point of playing Lawbringer is to essentially try to team fight and anchor a point. So you're gonna have zero, well, you're not gonna have zero anti-ganking in general. Good players are gonna roll away from you or parry your heavy attacks and try to space away from him, because once you lose the advantage of trying to get into your chain pressure, and your forward dodge bash is not going to catch them anymore, I mean, you're pretty much just screwed. You can't really do anything. You do have an impale, but that impale can be only used on a light parry to ledge people or while you're running around, and that can be easily confirmed with like a guard break, but you have to have a teammate set that up for you. It's very hard to get that consistently and just try to ledge people with it like a lot of times, whereas crashing charge or even stampede charge are much better at ledging people, in my opinion. And so this character definitely needs some help. Okay, minion clear. There's 2 lawbringers. I feel like 2 lawbringers is not too bad, but I'd rather have 2 lawbringers fight against 2 lawbringers than fight against 2 hitokiris, 2 orochis. Character is fairly weak at this moment in time. He's not ridiculously strong, but he isn't like the weakest character either, if you know what I'm saying. Compared to like a character like shaman, peacekeeper, or sohei and nuxia, this character still does well. Now for feats, I would run harsh judgment, lowers your stamina, and that's pretty good. Righteous deflection, I think, is still my favorite pick, but you can still run juggernaut to get that anchor effect and get hyper armor all your moves. It's still a good feat. You're just not gonna have to. You're going to be a little bit more careful on taking damage and being a little bit more squishier, and that's a good thing. Tier 3, you can run Pugna Wars or second wind. You can be a bomb bringer or be a little bit more of an anchor, an Ignis Ember. You just want to be running more bombs because you get 4 of these and it's very powerful. Don't run anything else. Lawbringer is going to have a very tough matchup against pretty much all the S tiers and the A tiers. You have to make some crazy reads. A minus tiers are pretty okay, but he struggles against a lot of the tiers if you're not a parry god and, you know, a read specialist. You're gonna have a lot of issues if you're not focused. If you're just no-branding this character, you might just go insane. Gryphon is gonna be an easy A tier. You know, he's got a lot of good things going for him. His forward light is enhanced. He's got great hyper armor and hitboxes on his finisher heavies and his heavies in general. An amazing dodge attack that has great rotations to position him into a safer area. He gets access to the chain kick, the 5RMS chain kick that lands a top heavy. He goes into an undodgeable mix as well, or heavy feint into GB. And he's got very strong wall splats, you know. His sound effects is like a crack, it's like, and then it just does a huge amount of damage. So it's really cool. I mean, the light attack also has a double tap. So like if there's time for your teammates to react to it and look at, oh, this guy got a light attack, let's confirm maybe a kick or something, or I can throw a heavy and whatnot. And so really cool ganks for this character. Amazing roll catcher with Sinjoni Sho. His feats are just, you know, they're really supportive. He is a paladin of sorts, and especially since he got that enhanced light attack, he has pretty much skyrocketed up to the tier list simply due to his team fighting capabilities and his feats. Now Stern Stare is going to lower their attack, really helpful, or you can run Fast Recovery. That's also a really good pick too. And then Dragonite Mist to heal people all around you, Dragonite Bolt to deal damage and heal as well, and then Dragonite Cleanser to deal a bunch of damage in an AoE effect, and then heals them after a bit of time, or just run Champion's Aura, which is probably going to be your best feat because this is going to heal people, I mean, for a very long time. It's like 30 seconds, and I think this is your go-to. It'll be a really powerful feat to use against any single character. He does well against pretty much the entire cast, and you can't really have a really bad matchup with him unless you're just, well, to be fair, you can just no-brain this character too and do really well. Next up is going to be Centurion. Now Centurion, he has a lot, honestly, he has a lot going for him. He does have some weaknesses, but his strengths outweigh his weaknesses in my honest opinion. And so going over his moveset, variable timed heavies, really fast heavies. This is just super good for the character. Not a lot of people are going to be pairing this consistently, and so having that heavy into soft feint GB is going to be really good. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest hitboxes, but when you charge your heavies, they have immense range. This is what you kind of want to be doing team fights and trying to land those charged heavies because it does pin, and it's really good, man. I tell you what, it's very good. He doesn't have any crushing counters or hyper armor and all that good stuff or dodge cancel recoveries. He does have a dodge attack, but he doesn't really need that. You just have to have like some sort of a reliable teammate and have some good parry game. If you don't have good parry game, this character might not be as high in the list. If you don't have that great parry game, I'd probably put him like the A- tier, but if you do have good parry games and good game sense, he's definitely going to be like an A tier character. He's going to be a carry character for sure. And when it comes to his chain bash, that is a pretty freaking good chain bash in my opinion. It can be double dodge really early, but you still have tons of like counterplay measures against that. It's still an unreactable chain bash, and it's very good, can pin people on a fully charged, and if you know the gank, it's a very easy setup to deal a lot of damage. And Centurion just absolutely stops people who are just throwing attacks at you, because as long as you have good parries, you should be fine. The forward heavy attack is also a pretty good roll catcher too. It has hyper armor, you can definitely use it as a funny option select at the same time. So Centurion, you have to play him a specific way, otherwise you're kind of gonna get cooked. It's kind of like the peacekeeper effect, where Centurion excels in a ganking aspect really well, and a dueling aspect, so you have to get those 1v1s and win those 1v1s, because his wall splats deal a ton of damage. His knee into punch is just guaranteed. It's 22 damage total with haymaker for a heavy parry punish. With the wall splat, you can get a huge amount of damage, 35 damage, and even more so with the charged punch when you land a wall spat. So I mean, this character has a lot of high damage potentials, but excels really only in 1v1s and ganking. So you have to get yourself into those situations and not get yourselves in an outnumbered situation. You can win some anti-gank, sure, but you're gonna have to have your teammates come help you afterwards, because your survivability rate is pretty low. Your health is not even that high anyways. I believe it's only 125. It's not that good. Okay, when there's two Centurions, it could be troublesome too, mostly because of his feats and his high damages. But if you have like good teammates on your side that can team fight better, the Centurion can like defend against himself, you know, two Centurions is not going to be the worst thing ever. And most of the Centurions that you're going to fight in the lobbies, they're not going to be parry gods anyways, so it's nothing that you have to fear as much. And I feel like Centurion can be fairly fair in that regard, but when he's set up with a very strong teammate of his own, then it's going to be an issue. So what I would run is Bounty Hunter with him all the time, Haymaker all the time, Pugyo for sure. Even though Pugyo did get nerfed, it doesn't deal 25 damage anymore. It only deals 15, and that's fairly fair. It's still 300 MS, so it's really fast. You're not gonna be able to react to this. You have to dodge on that on animation or prediction, and of course running Phalanx or Stalwart Banner for his feats. Now Gladiator is, I think I'm gonna put him up in the A- tier category. And since you are able to have such an easy gank tool, this toe stab is ridiculously good. Now this character, you also have to play him a specific way, otherwise you're going to put yourself in a huge handicap. His hitboxes, when it comes to horizontal, it's pretty much non-existent, but he does have very surprisingly good forward momentum on his heavy attacks, so you can definitely catch people who are even trying to like dodge attack away from you, because this has a very good forward heavy hitbox. It's kind of insane. His finisher heavies, his neutral heavies are pretty good. His forward light can do some roll catching too if you wanted to, and he does have 433 MS chain light attacks on the top, so it's not too shabby in my opinion for chain pressure, because his toe stab also becomes 500 MS instead of 600 MS from neutral, so it can be pretty much unreactable if your opponent is not paying attention. If you're fighting a person that can actually dodge 600 MS bashes, such as a 600 MS zone attack, which from your character is going to be a bash into a heavy, which is feintable, like then you're going to be shit out of luck, right? Because this character, he doesn't really have any offense unless the person you're fighting against is not a reaction god, or just not even reacting to 600 MS stuff, because 600 MS should be reactable to like a lot of the players that are paying attention. If you're not paying attention, I'm not gonna be able to dodge this all the time if I'm not paying attention. If I'm paying attention, I can probably dodge this like 90% of the time. It's a fairly easy dodge, and then afterwards he doesn't really have an opener, and so you have to rely mainly on defensive play. And that's not like the worst thing for Gladiator, but you know, you're not gonna have any offense, so the character is gonna struggle in that regard. So he's mainly gonna be a ganker. Try not to get yourself into a 1v2 situation as much, or at least if you're doing that, you gotta have your teammate come help you, because your bashes, your damage values, they're not gonna be that high. It's a lot of bleed, and your neutral heavies only deal 23 damage instead of 24 for some reason, but you do have a very high skewer damage, and so if you're able to get some nice deflex or that skewer off, you're gonna have an edge on a lot of the fights that you do. So the stall is pretty, I wouldn't say it's like great, it is bad. I mean, you do have that sucker punch, which can be helpful in a lot of situations. If you target swap bashing, you can get away from a lot of things. You have great iframes, but the anti-gank is just not there. Your skewer is just not that scary. Your guard break damage is not that high, and the minion clear is absolutely awful. Two gladiators on the other team, not that scary in my opinion. Feats that I would personally be running would be Bounty Hunter or Deadly. I like Deadly because that finisher heavy when you do get that off, it's going to deal a crap ton of damage. And like I said, the forward momentum is pretty cool. You get some pretty good hitboxes too. The haymaker is going to be your go-to. Your throws and punch is going to deal way more damage. And of course, your Neptune's Wrath. 50 damage for a projectile. You have to do that. Fear itself is going to be your go-to. Don't run anything else. I think this is going to be the last knight character. It's going to be Peacekeeper. Now, Peacekeeper has, you guys have seen the buff she's gotten already. Better hitboxes on her zone, heavy attacks, and all that good stuff. And better chain link timings for her triple stab too. Just more consistency stuff and better hitboxes. And that's going to help her out tremendously. Now, this character is going to be a little bit tricky, mainly because it's mainly because of the skill level of the person. Now, if you're a good player, I would put her up in the A tiers, A minus tier. That's where she would be, because on paper she is an okay character. She excels very well in 1v1s and great for backcapping, great for rotations, clearing mid lane. She's got great hitboxes on her zone attack to clear it. Just 2 zone attacks and you're basically done. You can get out of there, help your teammates. She's an amazing team fighter for peeling and all that good stuff. She does have a deflect too, but of course hyper armor exists. And I mean, that's really the character itself, because the problem with the character in 4v4 is that you have to land a bleed to get into your offensive pressure that gives you the unblockable mix, and that really only happens in 1v1 scenarios. You can do a forward heavy in team fights to get some damage and allow them to bleed, but the unblockable mix is not really going to come in handy as often as you'd like it to. It's just not as consistent, and you have to rely on your teammates to get some raw damage in instead of your forward heavy bleed. Now, the dodge attack is very powerful. Peacekeeper's dodge attack, if you guys didn't know, does 18 damage total. It's the highest damaging dodge attack in the entire game. It's the highest. So if you're able to dodge bashes consistently, or at least at a high rate of like 80% of the time, you're gonna deal so much damage and have a health swing on other people, because I think the highest damage dodge attack should be about 16, I believe, and having a 2 damage difference is kind of a big thing in my opinion, especially when you just dodge a bash or just dodge in general. And so when Peacekeeper gets a bleed off, she gets enhanced light, she gets unblockable heavies, her soft feintable heavies, and you know, it's not too shabby. Amazing roll catcher, great for peeling with the forward dodge heavy. You don't have to opt in for the bleed riposte. You can just do the heavy attack to get better recoveries afterwards. So it's pretty solid. She does have dodge cancel recoveries on her dagger cancel, which you can use to dodge certain attacks if they're trying to attack you afterwards with hyper armor and all that good stuff. When it comes to her anti-ganking, I don't know if she really has like top tier anti-ganking. There is some damage that you can do, but I'd say it's fairly bad in comparison to the rest of the cast. So bad anti-ganking. The stalling is actually not too shabby now. If you're a good player, you can stall for quite a bit of time for your teammates to come help you because of those improved hitboxes. So definitely not a bad thing. And then of course her chain light attacks are going to be 4 MS, so they're pretty much underreactive to most of the player base, and you're going to be doing very well on trying to get your mix-ups and your bleed landing in there, because the bleed itself, now the dagger cancel that she has is going to be 366 MS now. Used to be 400, but this 336 MS attack is so much faster now, and it's actually insane. It does help her quite a bit, especially for the matchmaking gamers out there, so you can land this quite often, and you can get into your unblockable mix afterwards. She can be very scary in 1v1s. The role of this character, don't go into like a 1v2 or 1v3 unless you have a team you know that can set you up with, or that can help you afterwards, at least that duo to help you out with. But if you're doing solo queue, try to clear minion lane as much as possible, backcap, win the duel as fast as possible. You're gonna have some bad matchups like maybe Varangian, hitokiri, maybe Pirate, Orochi, Afeera. Those characters are going to be top tiers. Everyone's going to do bad against them, but I feel like you have a pretty okay matchup against like the A-, B, or C tier characters, and even some of the A tier characters, except for like maybe Shugoki. Shugoki is a menace for you because when you dodge attack, he gets a follow-up heavy attack after the missed bash input, so you're going to have to not use your riposte, otherwise you will take a nasty trade. And so you have to know some matchup knowledge and understand certain characters for you to do well with this hero, because Peacekeeper relies on good movement, great game knowledge, good reactions, and amazing reads. So if you don't have that, she would definitely be a B tier pick at this moment in time, because she has no external pressure. She relies on playing smart and everything else that I said before. So without god tier reactions, god tier reads, I would probably still put her in B tier, but with the recent buff on a good player who's flanks by themselves, I would say like A-. For feats, I should be running bounty hunters. You can run stealth. This is what I usually run sometimes when I'm solo queuing, but I usually run both. Depends on what you want to play for. Fiat Lux is actually pretty solid too. You can land this and then you can go into your mix afterwards because they'll be blinded. There'll be a stamina, and that's when your unblockable mix and your dare cancel is going to be most effective. Thick Skin is also very good too. And crossbow, Putumors, I mean, all these are very good, but I personally run Sharpened Blade, deals a ton of damage. Love seeing their entire HP pool just disappear after one kidney stab. It's actually awesome. Fear itself is going to be your go-to, but you can also run Last Laugh because this is actually not too bad too, especially for solo queue gaming. Shaolin is going to be the first Wulin, and he's going straight up to the carry tier list. He's S tier. He basically has a tool for every single situation whatsoever. Great hitboxes on his heavy attacks, his undodgeable heavies. His zone attack has a ridiculous hitbox too, and it's really hard for me to personally parry. The animation just comes out super duper fast. He does have crushing counters, and his cheese stance has access to undodgeable heavies, crushing counter light attacks that are 500 MS, and of course the fast kick follow-up that comes after, and then he gets a sweep that can be easily confirmed with ganks. So amazing ganks, incredible anti-ganker, and great staller, amazing minion clear. When there's two Shaolins, my gosh, this is just, it's a very strong character to have two of them. You'll have Invigorate, you'll have an amazing tier 1. Well, let's just go over his feats. Firstly, after we talk about his team fighting capabilities, which is going to be one of his strongest parts. This character can pretty much do whatever he wants. He can also dodge out of cheese stance into another dodge attack. I think his dodge attack is probably one of the best moves in the game when it comes to dodge attacks in general, because it's such a huge hitbox and you can't necessarily tell where he's going or when the attack is coming towards you, because you can dodge in a certain way and change the direction or make it look like the attack is coming a different direction. So this character is a pretty annoying one because he has so much tools in his kit that make him pretty much unpredictable and untouchable. When it comes to his feats, you should probably be running stealth most of the time. You can run key trap to you put it on an enemy point or enemy spawn, but it can be a little bit troublesome if you don't win that first team fight. So you gotta win that first team fight and then rush to the point afterwards. You can use Blink, which is pretty much the undodgeable tier 2, and it's just ridiculously good. It has the best tracking of all time, and you cannot dodge this unless you're dodging on an accident. I've tried dodging in so many ways, it does not work. Okay, dodge backwards, dodge forward, dodge to the side, dodge it on before the timing when he presses it. It's just I'm trying to read his mind, doesn't work. And so Invigorate is also really good. This is they nerfed this a while ago. It used to heal 8 health, now only heals 4. Still really good though, because it can cleanse, bleed, and fire, so really strong. And then of course Blessed Projection to teleport someone really fast and get into the fight. This character pretty much does well against every single character in the game, with the top light being enhanced. If you don't parry that, it is going to be a mix up that you'll have to enter with the chain kick or the undodgeable mix. You can also decide to use his triple lights to delay them, to land some easy heavy from the teammate that is next to him. So it's a very good gank tool, and you can definitely get really tilted by getting hit by these triple stabs, in my opinion. Triple pokes, it's a very funny move. So great character in overall, and it's going to be one of your no-brain characters that will really carry your team. Okay, Nuxia, however, is quite frankly the opposite. Now, this character is a little bit tricky too. Personally, I would not put her in like crap tier, because she does kind of have a pretty decent kit. It's just that it's a little bit finicky to use. You have to be thinking about her moveset. Now you have to like think that her traps are basically unblockable. So do you want to let it fly, or do you want a heavy feint or to GB, or just feint the heavy and pretty much parry or try to deflect the light check or the heavy attack that's coming towards your face? And so this character does require some brain power. A bad Nuxia, you can definitely tell it's a bad Nuxia, but a good Nuxia will have a lot of tricks up her sleeves that can be utilized to just basically shut down your offense in general. You'll just be flabbergasted by the things this character can do. So let's talk about her kit in general. So her heavy attacks, they have pretty good, honestly, they have pretty good hitboxes, and especially her finisher heavies, pretty decent hitboxes, can also wall splat, so has really good clutch potential. If you're getting hit by this, you probably lose all your HP. She excels in 1v1s the most, so she plays just like Peacekeeper and Shaman, where you have to find 1v1s on a point or someone off point and finish them off as quickly as possible with both hands. If you don't do that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, because they're stalling. Her anti-ganking, it's not really that good. It's pretty mediocre. She has a good deflect, goes into 2 400 ms chain light attack. So that's kind of going to be her bread and butter that initiates a lot of your strength in general, because people aren't going to be parrying this a lot of the time. People are going to try to dodge this, and so that's when you let your heavies fly. You can delay them to an extreme amount, and your zone also does a lot of damage, has a huge hitbox, and also utilize the trap mix-up. So the trap mix-up is going to stop people from trying to parry, it's also going to stop you from crushing counter, but a lot of people try to light check you in general, just bash mix-up or just dodge attacks, so you have to pay attention to what your opponent is going to be doing. If you don't, you're pretty much just going to, your traps are going to whiff all the time. People are going to emote you, people are going to dodge attack you, people are just going to unlock, run away. Your traps don't work. So the traps are only for like specific instances once you have mind game. Then once you have that, I mean, you will get a lot of damage in, because her tier 1 is Deadly Duet. Deadly Duet deals 20% more damage to someone who is alone. So this is going to be huge for you. It's basically your clutch potential. You don't even have to do anything. It's a passive. Get this activator tier 1. Find someone alone, deal a crap ton of damage, and they're basically dead. Caltrops, great for minion lanes, dealing a lot of damage. Be careful though, this does feed a tag, so if your teammates are fighting, this is gonna activate a tag. It's gonna make it so that they get revenge pretty quickly. So don't use it in team fights, and let your opponents know, or let your teammates know that you're gonna put it down. Threat of Fate, I mean, this is horrible. I would not use this. This is just horrible. It is kind of funny to do that so they can't run. But a slip through is going to be your go-to. I've also seen people use takedown. However, you know, takedown can be helpful, but you have to make sure your teammates aren't going to interrupt you, because I have interrupted Nuxias that have used this, and they would have gotten the unbalance if I let them get to it, but I just don't know that they used it, and that's going to be a tricky one. So you can use this for fun. It will surprise a lot of people, and then of course running Infection is going to be your best bet. Up next is going to be Tiandi. Now Tiandi, he has, you know, he's a pretty strong character still at the moment. I'm going to put him like the A- tiers. He's definitely not a bad pick. It's just that the only issue with his offense right now is that he doesn't get frame advantage after landing a light attack when he gets a bash off. And so when you compare this to a character like Orochi, where you can constantly bombard you with the kick mix-up, like you cannot light check him, you cannot do anything like that, or bash check him or anything like that, to stop him attacking, because he can just bash kick you, so you have to dodge that. But if you dodge it, you get hit with the storm rush, and that means his 50-50 is very strong. Whereas Tiandi has a very big risk to his mix-up. His mix-up is going to be dodge bash into light and dodge into an undodgeable. That's the only time that your light attack is not going to check him. It's not going to interrupt him. So he has to commit to getting potentially light parried or getting like 12 damage, and that's not really a good 50-50 in my opinion. It's actually really bad for Tiandi, so you kind of just want to either take the bash 24/7 or wait for that blue to come out, and it's really bad for you. He does have that forward heavy feint that has hyper armor to go for a trade or bait you out on that, but you kind of should just be looking at the blue in the first place, and so that's where his weakness resides, and that's why he's not that strong anymore, even though he does have a lot of things in his arsenal, such as the chain format light attacks and the dodge cancels, enhanced iframes on his dragon dodge as well. You can also use crushing counters on his blue light attacks, and then his zone is a really good hitbox that goes into his pin attack, okay, which is his kick. But unfortunately, the damage is just so lackluster that you kind of always want to take the kick anyways. I mean, if you're like, I don't know, it's like 20 damage heavy attack. Like, why is it 20 damage? It should be 22 at least, so that's a little bit threatening. But at the most, you always want to get hit by it, or you take the guard break and you take 24 damage, and like that's a really bad trait. You don't want to really be taking that. It's better to just take the heavy attack, the follow-up kick. So that's really bad mix-up in my opinion. So Tiandi kind of suffers in that regard. He doesn't really have a roll catcher either. He's forward heavy, doesn't really catch people, and that's kind of where his strengths end. You know, it's just kind of a mediocre character right now since his offense was shut down so much. Now that does not say that the character isn't bad per se, because he does have pretty good stalling capabilities. The anti-gank is not too shabby either in my opinion. He does have quite a few tools to deal a lot of damage. The minion clear is also really good too. Two Tiandis can be sort of a nightmare because they can confirm each other for the kick mix-up. But I will say that the bash damage and just damage in general for the character is quite low, and he is suffering in that regard. He's not a top tier as he used to be because he doesn't have that chain offense anymore. And so the character, not a bad pick, but I feel like he's in a decent place, just needs a few touch-ups. Now for the tier 1, I would be running TIERLIST pretty much at all times, and the tier 2, I like to run Sacrifice. If it's a very team fighting map, Sacrifice is very good because you can give You pretty much heal all the bleed for a certain duration. It's really fun. You heal people to 40. It says that you heal 49 health, to heal 30 health over 24 seconds. And so bleed fire, pretty much useless. You do sacrifice a lot of HP, but I'd say it's worth it, especially if you can go back onto the point and heal and communicate with your teammates. Otherwise, run Doom Banner, it's very powerful, or even Mart for Death. Vital Leech, Indomitable are your go-to, but you could run Battle Cry if you wanted to, but I personally would run Vital Leech just to, you know, heal yourself in case you want to like survive and do a little bit of anti-ganking. Zhanhu is going to be the next Wulin, and I'm going to put him in the A- tiers. Now Zhanhu has a pretty solid kit, in my opinion, like solid kit. He has a great zone attack that's undodgeable, like really helpful. Huge hitboxes. The heavy attacks also have pretty good hitbox too from neutral, and his finisher ones, which are unblockable. And then of course he does have a deflect, a superior block, which guarantees him a bunch of damage that is unblockable, goes into his mix-up. And he also has a 600 ms finisher unblockable light attack, but this is a pretty useless move against like a really good player. I compare this like 90% of the time. It's not a move you should necessarily be using a lot. It's kind of something that you want to be using when you target swap away from someone or target swap back to someone, so that the animation looks a little bit funky, comes out a little bit, looks like it comes out a little bit faster, so you mess up people's animation and all that good stuff. But you should not use this against a good player a lot because it's free parries. The only mix that this character really has is forward dodge bash, the forward dodge heavy, really good roll catcher to mix them up on the animations itself so they can try to dodge the bash. But the bash is going to be your bread and butter because once you get into that blockable mix, you can only have the unblockable soft and heavy for your actual mix-up. There's nothing else that Zhanhu really has. He does have like a forward dodge light that is enhanced, so you can go into your mix-up afterwards, but you know, he's a fairly straightforward character. I think he gets outshined by a lot of the other casts because what he does is pretty mediocre, definitely power crept. And so this character is not horrible, but he still does, you know, what he does well. The dodge attacks also are 4MS and come from both sides, so he can be really good in 1v1s against someone who's not like super reactionary, but it's kind of a bad read if you do get parried because it's a light parry, you know, it's a light parry. And so this character has pretty solid anti-ganking in my opinion. He gets on late double heavies on OS parry. You also are able to, you know, you're able to stall pretty well too because the zone, you can tar swap that and make the animation look pretty funky. The ganking is also really good with this character too, with the bash having, it has dodge cancel recoveries. That's very helpful. Let's go over his feats real quick. With Zhanhu, you know, it's pretty straightforward too. His feats are nothing, you know, to write home about. There's a couple ways you can play him. Fury Tusk, this is going to couple with Quinlan Rose. Quinlan Rose drops like a huge firebomb, and if you use Fury Tusk, it does additional damage if they're bleeding. But if you wanted to be safe, you could definitely just be running Bounty Hunter or Fast Recovery for more stamina and health. Personally, I run Fast Recovery, and then you also want to be running Winner's Advantage with that. I feel like this is very strong, gives you a lot of damage on your finisher heavies or even your neutral ones too. Now Nuki Kubi, I think this is a really good move, so you can clear and keep having stamina 24/7, but I think Lombo is going to be even better because it's 50 damage. Scorching Deluge is going to be your best bet. You can also run Last Laugh for the funsies, and this can be pretty good too, but I feel like Scorching Deluge can be good if it's an open map. If it's not an open map, I think Last Laugh is much better. The last Wulin is Jang Jun, the God of War. The God of War, I think I'm going to put him up in S tier carry. When I'm playing this character, I'm basically, most of the time, I wouldn't say most of the time, say a lot of times, I'm brain rotting him, and I do incredibly well because what he has, it has a lot of value. Like, he just has great hitboxes on his neutral heavies. On his finisher heavies, he goes time and space. The hitboxes are so huge, you have to respect it. You have to respect it. If you don't, you're going to get hit by it, and it's just, it does a lot of damage because of his ability to have so much range, and including his Sifu stance, which regenerates stamina, so he can basically keep attacking and have iframes and regaining stamina with Sifu. And this is so strong, I kid you not, because he also has an unblockable zone that comes out afterwards. And this is really scary because when you're in hit stun, you're still going to get hit by this. With his unblockable zone attack, it deals 16 damage and goes into his chain mix. And his delayed heavies and delayed light attacks can really mess you up. So you have to be focused on it. If you're not focusing on it, you're going to get hit by those delayed light attacks. Those delayed light attacks are only 500 MS, but with them with the amount of you can delay those heavy attacks or even those light attacks, it can be hard to react to if you're not paying attention. The dodge attacks also have extended iframes, so you can dodge around, you feint them, you can soft feint into a light attack, into more mix-ups, and that's super duper strong, I kid you not. It's very powerful. He also has amazing roll catcher too. And he can also choke people. So if you choke someone in revenge, you waste like 5 seconds of their life. And his kick is also a pin. His choke can wall splat to land a side heavy or a top heavy, depending on how close you are and all that good stuff. I mean, it just has so much versatility. This guy is one of the best characters in the entire game, in my honest opinion. You'll always be seeing him everywhere. He looks cool and he does so much damage. And I think this character has amazing stall, amazing anti-gank, amazing ganks. It's just everything about him. A minion clear is great. 2 Zhanhu's absolute nightmare for anybody involved, especially even for like Varangian. I feel like this character can definitely handle Varangian just by himself, or having 2 of them is going to absolutely destroy it, because Varangian requires, you know, like an orochi or a berserker, those characters that throw a bunch of external attacks. That's where she shines the most. But, you know, Zhanhu just lights an unblockable. Like, full block this, you freaking clown. So Zhanhu is just super duper strong. I think he's one of the best characters that we have in this game. That's not like ridiculously overtuned, but, you know, feels a little bit more fair in general compared to like most of the cast, you know. For Zhanhu, there's 2 options you can run. You can run against all odds or deadly. Both of these are really good, but I think against all odds is probably going to be your better bet, because you get higher damage output depending on how much enemies there are. Tier 2. Don't run benefaction, because this is just going to heal. I mean, this is going to give you more stamina for your teammates, and you don't necessarily want to be doing that. You want to be doing as much damage as possible and finishing off enemies quickly as possible. If you're doing this, you're allowing your teammates to 1v1, have an honorable 1v1, and you don't want to do that, because the enemy's going to come back and help his teammate while you're just sitting there looking like a bozo. So Inspire is definitely going to be your better tier 2. Soothing Mist is also really good if you're fighting with a really nice team. However, I personally have a Tough as Nail build and a Second Wind build, depending on how I feel like. And so this is going to be much better than using Soothing Mist if you're a solo queue player. But duo queue player, you can probably run this, and that's probably better. Fury Barrage, honestly, all of these are incredibly good. It really depends on your team comp in general. So Phalanx is very good against pretty much everything. Fire Flash is a great team fight ender. Fury Barrage also has a really fast cooldown, and you can use it to like mess people up and ruin their stamina. But Fire Flash and Phalanx probably the more meta pick. And lastly, we're going to do the Outlanders. The Outlanders is going to be the last faction, so let's just try to get through it as fast as possible. Afeera, S tier carry. Now, if you didn't know, of course, I'm going to mention it again, is that Afeera and Varangian were the most banned characters in the last competitive tournament. Nobody wants to fight these characters. Why, you ask? Because they are overtuned in so many ways. Well, just not so many ways. Probably a few egregious things that make them very overtuned. But let's just go over her kit. So, great hitboxes in general on her heavy attacks, her light attacks. Her light attacks also have crushing counters on her neutral and finishers. She has dodge cancel recoveries with her flip attack, or what's it called, somersault move, cartwheel, and it's really good. I tell you what, iframes, and it allows her to go into her chain pressure afterwards with her chain kick mix-up, or the light attack, or just letting a raw heavy fly, because her side heavies will track people who empty dodge. So it's pretty freaking cool mix up if you ask me. She does have an unblockable heavy. She also has the left heavy that wall splats displaces. The top one is undodgeable, and the chain kick mix up. So she has so much clutch potential, because after a heavy parry, she can go for her bash and land a left side heavy that will allow you to wall slide with the top heavy. Now, her top heavy did get nerfed. Used to deal 27, now only deals 25, but it's still a lot of damage for a heavy parry punish. This character definitely has the edge when it comes to heavy parry punishes in general. You don't want to get parried by her, but what makes it even worse is that her neutral bash is feintable. It's feintable and it's unreactable. It makes you have to make a read on it, trying to interrupt her as much as you can, but if she's very good, she's going to try to parry that, and she's going to mess you up, and then it's a heavy parry, so if there's a wall nearby, you're going to need a lot of damage, and then you're going to go into frame advantage mix-up from her. So she's a pretty scary character when it comes to chain pressure and team fights, because she's really safe. She's a safe character with an amazing roll catcher with the forward dodge light into chain mix-up, and amazing staller, anti-ganker, and ganker in general. I mean, minion clear is pretty good too, and when there's 2 Afeeras, it's just Joe over at that point, because she has so much utility in her kit. You can't run away from her because her bash can chase you. And one of the scariest characters to fight, in my opinion. I mean, I have trouble fighting her still. And a lot of high-level players, they don't want to fight her. She's really strong, and she's just, I think she has a really low skill floor too, so a weak player that doesn't know what they're doing will absolutely dominate her anyways. Same thing for like Varangian and Hitokiri. So her tier 1 gravity's pull, it's a 5 bash, deals a lot of damage, and it's 90-second cooldown, so 15 damage to land a free heavy attack from your teammate. I mean, it's super good. Tier 2 is Fortune's Favor. You probably just want to be running that, a defensive buff for you. So it's pretty cool. Her Tier 3 Speeding Comet. This is the one that has the full bar properties. Use it, you gain 20 damage, and then allows you to throw a heavy afterwards. And then your teammate can also land a heavy as well. So it's just ganking in her kit in general, and that's just so strong. Tier 4 Orbiting Shield is pretty strong. Some people also run Star Banner. I mean, this character just aids incarnate. Nobody plays. No, the devs don't play the game. That's what I've gotten from this character. And a lot of people don't want to play against her either. Ocelotl is going to be a menace incarnate. Let's just go over his kit real quick, okay? So his chain heavy attacks are really fast. I believe that they are 700 ms, so really fast heavies. He has 400 ms chain light attacks as well. A fadeable chain bash that deals direct damage, so it's very good. Neutral pressure with his bash mix-up. Forward light is also enhanced. And of course his dodge attack is really good. That couples in to go in another chain light attack that's 400 ms. So a really amazing roll catcher as well with his forward light. And overall, I mean, this character is just a feint machine with hyper armor, because his zone also is hyper armor. So it's his chain zone and his finish zone, which is pretty cool. His stalling, his ganks, his anti-ganks, it's all amazing. This character literally has it all. It has it all. And then for his clutch potential, he's able to go in his hunter stance, which doesn't have that much utility by itself. It does have some iframes. You can use it to pseudo dodge like a warden chain bash mix-up. Dodge early on the first level 1, and then use her hunter stance afterwards. And then the strongest part about this kit is the ganking aspect and coming up from behind someone and using that lunge move. And it has really great range. It's probably one of the best range attacks in the entire game when it comes to, you know, a hero stance move. And so this is just something that's ridiculously good. And couple that in with one of, I mean, his feats are ridiculously good. I'll tell you that much. His feats are really good. His tier 1, one of the best tier 1s in the entire game, Huntsman's Spirit, just allows you to capture bases really fast, allows you to go back into the battle to get revenge on someone that you killed with a little bit of HP coming back, because your teammate jumped back in there, even though that you died. It's still going to be very beneficial for you to try to kill them. Although I will say that a lot of bad players utilize this in the worst way possible and they just feed, but a good player using this is going to be able to back up. They're going to be able to take out an opponent and gank right away, because the cooldown of this coming back to it's about 5 seconds, when in reality pretty much every other character has to wait at least 10 seconds, and if they're executed even more, and then they have to run to the point, so you save so much time. And so this feat is ridiculously good and overtuned. The tier 2, you definitely just want to be running Bear Trap or just Vengeful Mark. This is just kind of a throwaway feat. Bear Trap, you kind of have to be there to protect your point and get some damage in there. Tier 3, Quetzal's Blessing. You could run this, however, I personally run Second Wind, because you can heal after coming out of your tier 1 and then just go back into battle and be like half HP or a little bit more, and that's GG's for your opponents. Trapper's Reach is your go-to, so much damage, free GB, you can ledge with this so easily. This character, I don't know why people downplay him, but he is one of the best characters in the entire game. Unreactable mix and super scary when left unchecked. Magi is your next nomad, and he's gonna be up in the A tiers. I feel like Magi, especially after his rework, definitely improved in a lot of ways. Obviously, he was nerfed significantly without having all that hyper armor, but that's good, better for the health of the game, in my opinion. But this character has excelled a little bit more in duels, and more importantly, just mix-ups, you know, making your opponent have to think about what stance you're in, what attack you're going to throw next. And I mean, he's got a really fun kit now, in my opinion. He's got great hitboxes when he's in his staff form, horrible hitboxes in his axe form, but his staff form is going to be utilized for team fights. He has really good hitboxes, his hyper armor and those chain heavy attacks. He also has a nomad swing that transitions. It's a 500 ms attack that goes into and swaps to a different move. It is a heavy parry input, so it can be very helpful. If you do get parried, it's only going to be small damage that you do take. His amazing dodge attack can, help him reposition in so many ways. And he has two different types of dodge attacks too, mind you, like two different dodge attacks. It can be very cool. Amazing roll catcher at the same time. And I'd say his stalling capabilities are not too shabby because his hitboxes on his light attacks when it comes to his staff form can be very nice. Target swap and use my nomad swing and swap to the other person and make it a little bit harder for them to parry. So this is very helpful. The anti-gank potential, I don't think it's amazing, but it's not horribly either. It's not horrible either because you have roll catching potential. Your heavies are dealing a lot of better damage, and you can continue your mix up by just using Nomad Swing over and over again. So the stalling capabilities, pretty good. Anti-gank, very good. The ganks are really good too because the staff form has that pin. If you know the gank, it's just heavy into light that guarantees the next pin. So it's very strong, really strong in general. And of course, he has amazing minion clear. 2 Magi's though, I feel like that can be pretty scary if you know how to use them correctly. But I would say in general, I think it is a pretty nasty matchup if you have 2 Magi's on your team, unless they don't know what they're doing. For his feats, tier 1, you always want to be running Sunshine Strength. This is a really powerful tier 1 because it gives you a defense buff and a 10% damage buff when you get a kill in a certain mode. So staff form, defense, axe mode, attack, very strong, gives you way more damage in general, so it's a very powerful tier 1. I think the Moonlight Drain is going to be your best bet too because it's going to lower defense and lower attack when you land a certain bash on a certain staff form or the axe form. So it's just going to be a really nice way to complement your axe attacks. Tier 3, this one can be a little bit tricky. You can use Scarab Relief or Second Wind. Second Wind is going to be more like a solo play thing, but if you want to play like a pseudo paladin and heal your teammates for a little bit less health and heal yourself for less health on axe mode, you kind of have to pick and choose because it's only 25 or Second Wind is going to be 30, so it's like 5 more HP, and that does make a big difference in my opinion. Or heal for an AoE of 15 health only, so big playstyle choice. An Astral Manifestation, 77 damage or 70 damage projectile for tier 4, it's basically GG's. Pirate is going to be the last S tier carry. We finished our S tier picks, and let's just quickly go over why Pirate is S tier and why she's pretty much always been S tier. She's gotten a crap ton of nerfs, a crap ton of buffs in general, but huge hitboxes on her finisher heavies, on her light attacks. Pretty much all of her moves have enormous amounts of hitboxes. They will travel time and space just to hit you. Her chain heavy attack has hyper armor. Her finisher, skewer, walk the plank, has a pin aspect. The gun blast, the pistol blast breaks through hyper armor. It's so strong. That is just one of the best qualities about this pistol blast because it just breaks through hyper armor. It also allows your teammate to land free heavies that is going to just be free because it gives them plenty of time to land heavies, and you can go into more ganks. Now, she has one of the most scariest ganks in the entire game. It's pretty much 100 to zeros. It's really insane. And of course, let's not forget her dodge cancel recoveries. She's going to get that aspect nerfed about her because Orochi got it nerfed, Berserker got it nerfed, so that's going to get nerfed. And hopefully so, and hopefully soon, because seeing her dance around like that, in addition to having chain mix up after the dodge attack, because you can use a 5 MS chain bash afterwards, deals direct damage, or go into an undodgeable, or go into a hyper armor attack, or skewer. So she has tons of variability. If you don't have someone to contest her, like a full black character like Black Prior, Varangian Guard, then she's just free to do whatever she wants, and you can stall for days just by no-braining. I can literally just dodge attack spam and like survive like most of my encounters. And even if I'm not, it's like I shouldn't have survived that. Or even like a Tiandi that has amazing dodge frames, I would have died already because his iframes at least end, whereas Pirate's restarts as soon as she dodges again. So very good character with the forward unblockable heavy as Gryphon roll catching. He also has, she just got so many things. She's got literally almost every single tool to deal with every single situation. Stalling's amazing, anti-ganks amazing, ganking is top tier, minion clearing is top tier. 2 Pirates, get me out of this game, get me out of this game. Can we just delete? I'm just gonna uninstall real quick. So she's one of the best characters for a reason. Like, now for her feats, I would be running armor piercing slug, is really good, lowers defense by 20%, very helpful. Bloodlust is going to be your go-to, more damage in general and defense when you do kill someone. Trick shot's ridiculously good running into a team fight with a running attack. You can get a guarantee tier 3, also a heavy attack guarantee tier 3, really strong. And then of course gunpowder surprise, huge team fight winning move. This is such a good move, you cannot go wrong with using this one. And so I organized all the characters strongest to weakest. Varangian is going to be the best character in my opinion, orochi, and then pirate we have afeera, hitokiri, an ocelotl. I think shinobi I'm probably going to move a little bit down here because he's a little bit harder to use. You have to kind of learn him and learn your matchups, while shaolin has way more versatility than all these characters here, and these are all pretty freaking strong characters in my opinion. A highlander and a BP makes sense. Actually, I'm gonna move a valkyrie all the way to the end here. I might even put her a little bit, I think I'll put her below centurion because you don't really see too much valkyries, and she requires a little bit more finesse with her mix-ups, so you have to be more patient, and that's kind of my reasoning for it. Gryphon's obviously going to be top tier, shugoki, hyper, all the hyper armor characters here, and then characters with more maneuverability and bleed damage and higher damage values just kind of makes sense right here. And then we have lawbringer on B tier. I think he's better than all these three characters and definitely better than shaman, especially in the right hand. So that's my tier list. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any other different opinions, be sure to let me know your experiences, and I hope this does help any new players or players that want to actually pick a character that's a little bit more challenging. The A- tiers and down below, or if you want to pick an easy character, get some dubs and get really easy wins, you know, pick the S tier characters. These characters will carry you all the way to the highest of more lobbies, so you can feed more revenge. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a thumbs up if you did, and of course leave a comment for the algorithm. I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye bye. See you later.